no type of test. They don't ask you nothing. There's nothing. They don't ask you, have you ever picked up a tattoo machine before? Nothing.
Welcome you and all to another episode of the Global Latin Factor Podcast, where we talk about Latino everything. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate the time you took to check out the channel. You already here. Might as well go and subscribe. Why? Because it helps us a lot. Mucho. Nos ayuda mucho whenever you subscribe today. And it's free. Unless you pay for subscription, then I feel you, but not me. I'm going to keep it free. Check it out. Today we have an amazing episode. We have a certified licensed tattoo artist originally from El Paso, Chucotown, Texas. Now she resides in Fort Worth, part owner of Ink and Beauty. I say part owner because she is owner with her spouse, which is a private tattoo studio. Drea, a.k.a. Andrea en la casa. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. I told myself this year I was going to get into more podcasts and getting myself out there. So I'm really happy to be here.
We're kind of sort of like the stop for people that want to, bucket list, check it out, to be on a podcast. And we really appreciate, at least for me, it's very special for me that the people that want to be and be interviewed, talk a little bit about their life, share a little bit about their life and their story. So thank you. But first, we're going to continue with a segment that I like to call Preguntas al Chile. We have new graphics coming. I still have something I got to get to Carlos. That was my bad. I should order it now. But be on the lookout for new graphics. ¿Estás lista? Are you ready?
Ready. Let's do it.
Tacos o tortas?
Tacos.
What's your go-to taco? What kind?
Honestly, it's just you could go so many ways. Like, even being, vegetarian, vegan, a potato taco, like, just goes crazy. Right now the hype is the birria and the everything. It's so good. It's terrible for you, but just a taco can go so many ways. So
absolutely. I like the mushroom tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the mushroom tacos. Corn tortilla or flour tortilla?
Flour.
Flour?
Yeah.
Gorditas or pupusas?
So my husband's Salvadorian.
Wow.
I'm going to have to do the pupusas.
Pupusas. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
She went with pupusas, bro. You good.
Yeah.
Red or green chile enchiladas?
Green.
It's green?
Yes.
Okay. Mexican coca or jarritos?
You know what? Oh my God, there's a Salvadorian soda. It's orange as well.
Uh-huh.
What is it called? My husband's probably
The
gonna
Goya?
look at me like
It's not Goya by any chance.
no, it's not Goya. It's called I'm gonna hate that I can't remember. But it's a Mexican coca too, but it's like their Salvadorian
Yeah,
Fanta,
the version of it.
kinda, jarrito. So
If you find a Carlos,
I know. It's gonna come to me like
so if
randomly.
Carlos happens to remember or look it up on Google and put a picture of it, that's the one she was
usually
talking
in a plastic bottle.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. Agua de horchata, Jamaica, or tamarindo?
I do horchata.
Salsa verde, salsa roja. Do you like spice? Verde?
I do. I love
Team
spice.
salsa verde all day, baby, right here too.
I love spice.
I love the verde. Menudo or pozole? Pozole. You said earlier something very interesting. Since you're from El Paso,
Yeah.
y'all do menudo. When y'all do menudo, you don't do with tortillas
At all.
You do with the bread.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense with tortillas.
At all.
The bread soaks it up. It's like it goes together, So yeah, when I moved here, I was like, what's going on here?
So if for whatever reason you never tried some menudo with some pan, highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It seems like
a
it
lot
makes
of
sense.
butter.
A lot of butter.
A lot of butter.
Terrible for you. Just one time, okay?
Just one time.
Don't get addicted.
Live a little.
A little bit. Churros or flan?
I'm not a flan person, so churros. All the way.
Yeah, I like the sugar stuff.
Yeah.
Everything we have on this list is so terrible for you, but man, it's so good to you. At least for your soul, maybe.
For your soul, definitely.
Valentina, Tapatio, Cholula, or Tabasco hot sauce?
Neither of them are hot enough for me, but I like the taste of Cholula.
What is the one hot sauce that you like?
I just like real salsa, and I'm like, if my
Homemade,
lips aren't
natural.
burning, like it's not hot enough.
So homemade natural salsas is the
Yeah,
ones you like to.
yeah, I like.
Like all these sauces are cool, but the Yucateco one that is like made out of habanero, oh
Mhm.
man, that stuff is so freaking good
Yeah,
and fiery too.
yeah.
I know it's not natural, but man,
As long as the
it's
flavor is
good.
good,
It's
like
good.
I want some flavor. I don't want just like hot.
Just to be
Like some wings, it's like
nonsense hot.
flaming hot, like just chemical.
Nah,
Like,
I feel you on that too.
you know
Cause
what I mean?
like you like too much spicy. I'm like no, but it has a flavor to it.
Yeah,
It's
like this
good. It's
good. This
hot. It's not like
garlic. I'm
just
like,
nonsense picante. Like
yeah, agreed.
no, agree, 100%. Conchitas, the pastries, the white ones, the brown ones, or the pink ones.
Mm, I guess I usually eat the pink ones.
The pink ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Do you find it to have a little bit of a different flavor than the other ones? Have you ever caught yourself like kind of tasting that it's
To be
different?
honest, not really.
Yeah.
Not really. I'm just like conchas are conchas to me. I'm down.
So
But like if I had to choose, I'm more of a pastry person, like
yeah.
the ones with like the jelly in it, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
What is your very, very, very favorite pastry to go to?
Oh God, I don't even know the names, but anything like stuffed, anything like with sugar around it or like jelly in it. I love
My
stuff like that.
favorite donuts are the sugar donuts.
Yeah.
Not the powdered sugar either, the grainy sugar.
Like
I
the
like
real
those. Yeah.
sugar. Yeah.
I like
Yeah, I
them.
know.
And I like bread too a lot.
I know. It's just
Yeah.
terrible.
That's
Pastries are like my weakness.
for real.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, not
So
again.
I stay away.
Bad for your
I
health,
try,
but so good for
try
your
to stay
soul.
away.
So good for your soul. A conspiracy theory that you heard one time that as soon as you heard it, it's like, man, that has to be true. Ain't no way that's not true. There's really a strong possibility that could be true. What can that be?
I mean, sadly, every conspiracy I knew is kind of true now.
Really?
I mean, look at, they've kind of admitted to aliens, they've
Yep.
admitted to communication.
Yep.
So, I mean, really, the alien thing, I definitely believe that. I mean, we are not alone. If you still think we're alone, like you're asleep. I don't believe we're alone. So that's my belief.
You need what did you hear about the communication part? Maybe I missed it. I know that they acknowledged that there was some kind of something that they had something, but I know there was actual communication. I heard anything.
So I don't know how deep you are into conspiracy. Do you follow Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Okay, so you follow his podcast too?
I hear it often.
So
yes.
there's a few people that he interviews on there that are pilots, with the United States Army, and they have proof. They tell their stories of, situations where they're in the sky and there's something not human. It's not a plane made, you know what I mean? It's going backwards, going forward, things that planes can't do. So just hearing their stories, it's just I just believe them. So
Yeah.
there's no way. There's just no way.
I mean, you think about we talked about this before, how whenever you think of the universe being infinite,
Yeah.
something that's infinite is like there's no ending to it. You can't even see it. And it's been here for billions of years,
Exactly.
with
And
no
it's like we're so awesome. Why would we be the
Yeah.
only ones
Yeah.
with this life, So
And we always focus on water and because that's how life became for us, but was not to say that other elements, other environments where life was able to strive there.
Exactly,
Of
exactly.
course they can't be here on Earth and whatever, but we can't be there either. But
Exactly.
that doesn't mean they're not alive.
Yeah.
So
So I truly believe we're
I
not
believe
alone.
that too.
So hopefully one day we'll get to see it before we
Wh- wh-
leave this place.
Okay, what would you do if you were like literally there in front of you, whatever it would be? Like, would you freak out?
So I don't know if you remember when that story was going on about like supposedly there was aliens in the mall.
Yeah.
You never know. I don't believe that they like, if they are, let's just say, they are real. I believe if they didn't want us here, I mean, it would be easy to take us out with what they probably have technology wise, So
We're safe for now.
I'm not, I'm not fearful of them. So hopefully one day, we'll get to, and there's a whole like evolution of people like meditating and saying that they talk to aliens, that they can literally meditate and
Yeah.
bring them to them, and then they'll have communication.
When you were, I don't know if you were, whenever you were vegetarian or maybe just in general, did you ever practice any type of meditation?
I do. I
Yeah?
do. I'm not so religious, but spiritual for sure. Meditation is every day, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I believe it's good for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that too. I believe that too. When you first hear the word Latino, Latina, Latinx, what first comes immediately to mind?
Just my amazing culture.
Mhm.
I'm, being from Chuco Town, like I love it. There's still, even now, every Sunday there's a car show. You see the old school Pachucos come out, and it doesn't matter how hot it is outside, they are dressed to impress, head to
Yes.
toe. So I just love it. Hearing that, it just reminds me of like all the coolness of being Latina.
That's dope. Yeah, I do have a very strong uh, art and lowrider community in El
It is.
Paso, big
There's
time.
a lot of amazing artists in El Paso too. So
Yeah.
shout out to them.
Yeah, yeah, I do have your own vibe. Definitely. Most
Yeah.
definitely, I do. Do you consider yourself Latina? Do you prefer being Chicana? Any terminology that you prefer more? Human being, not
No,
alien.
I mean, I love, I love being Latina. I love it. But at the same time, I'm not like offended if somebody says, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
not that crazy. We're
yeah.
all human, and I don't think it should be like a negative thing.
That's cool. All right,
So,
awesome. All right, so let's get to the interview part. So you're originally from El Paso. You were
mm-hmm,
born there.
mm-hmm.
Has your family always been in El Paso to your recollection, or did they make it from somewhere else to El Paso?
Both of my parents were born in El Paso, Texas. My grandparents on my dad's side, from Juarez. And then on my mom's side, I have my grandma from Mexico, and then my grandpa is actually from Kentucky.
Your grandpa is
Yeah.
güero,
Güero.
americano.
Yeah, güero. He just saw my grandma, fell in love with her, and they're
Wow.
two opposites. He spoke English, even up to, he passed away 2 years ago, rest in peace. But even up to then, he'd be like, "Why are you guys talking so much Spanish? Talk English."
Kentucky.
And yeah, Kentucky. So he's tall, white, blue eyes, and my grandma's chaparrita braids, like like the grandma from Coco.
Straight up.
Straight Mexicana.
Yes, they're looking like freaking what's that called?
It's
From
just
Europe
just
somewhere.
just totally different. But
That's
they were
cool.
very sweet to each other, so that it was nice to see growing up.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Was there
Thank you.
any of those genetics passed on that you have siblings or cousins that look just like güerito?
No, my mom is actually, so my mom is one of 9 kids, and
Mm-hmm.
she's the only one with red hair. Because
Red
we
hair.
have Irish. He's Irish.
Oh wow.
So I was like, "Oh my god, are my kids gonna have red hair?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, they didn't.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
Man,
no,
that native blood is so
it
strong.
really
Only
is
one of 9 came
one
out
of
with
9.
something.
Yeah. So, yeah. So it's crazy.
That's cool. Any of them ever share of your grandparents hear their story or how they got to the States by any chance, just like conversating?
My grandma was just kind of, struggling. She had to work, so she would, she lived in Juarez, and she would just cross the border to work, and that's kind of just how she did it until she met my grandpa, and he was like, "No, you're staying here." So, so yeah.
Okay. So how old were you when you made it to the Fort Worth area? How old were you?
So I've been here about 7, almost 8 years. I was 27 when I came over
Yeah.
here. So
That's
it's
cool.
pretty much lived my whole life in El
El
Paso.
Paso. El
Hmm.
Paso. What is for you growing up in El Paso, the most cherished memories that you have, whether it be family, food, a place that you used to go? What would that be?
Yeah. Out there's not much. So my life was mostly at Wet and Wild, which is our one water park. Okay.
Wet and Wild.
Wet and Wild, and it's our one water park in the desert. And it's like the only place where you will see a lot of trees. It's like a little oasis in there. So it was just life. But now that I'm older, I'm just like, it was just nothing.
Compared to everything that you see
You know what
here.
I mean? Like compared to the water parks here, it's kind of sad, but still, like you would go and you would just, they'd have grills, you just cook out, and the whole family would be there, and we would just be
Really?
there all day, like just all day. So that was just really good memories. But also just the food, all my family being there, all the cousins, just the familia vibe.
So
That's what I
that was your
truly.
hangout spot for everybody.
Yeah, I mean that was the only water park.
Did you do
So.
it like weekly? Was it a weekend
Yeah,
thing every
yeah, you
weekend?
get the season passes, and we were just there all
All
the
the
time.
time. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool. Hey,
because if
hey.
you don't have a swimming pool, you're just gonna be hot. You're gonna have a manguera outside with a sprinkler or something.
The manguero will be the host
Yeah, the hose, the
trying to
water
cool
hose.
down. That's cool. Okay, so when was it that the first introduction to tattooing? When did you started knowing that maybe this is something you wanted to do? Did you have any other things that you wanted to do as you were young? I don't know if you were into fashion or music or anything like
Hmm.
that growing up.
I knew I was always into art. I was introduced to tattoos. My dad is a tattoo artist.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of sucks, but there's no cameras back then. But he said that the first time I picked up a gun, I was like maybe 4,
Are you
and he put
serious?
me on his lap, and I tattooed his friend. So, and I'm like, dang it, where's the cameras back then?
So at 4 years old, your
Yeah, I
dad
just
gave
did.
you
And it
the
wasn't probably anything crazy. I just like shaded a little part. But even after that, I remember being little, and back then you had to have a pedal.
yeah.
Now they're all wireless, but back then, so he would be like tattooing, and I would push the pedal for him. And then, when you dip into the ink, it can't be on. So like he would dip, and I would like let it go. He would dip, and then as soon as he would like get back on the skin, I would like,
So you
and I would
remember
just
that?
be, yeah, I would just be behind him, like making sure I'm like pushing the pedal for him. So those are like my first memories of being around, and that's when he was just tattooing in like a room. It wasn't a shop. It was very,
Yeah.
very old school. Um, so that was my life for a long time. I grew up in a tattoo shop. We were one of like 3 tattoo shops in El Paso at the time.
If I'm not mistaken, y'all were one of the first ones?
Oh, like one of 3. I don't know exactly who's first, but yeah, it was like tattoo shops were barely opening up, so we
Yeah.
were one of 3. And I was pretty much there, growing up until I turned 16, and I moved with him, and then I started working there.
You started working as
hmm
an apprentice, of course, right?
My stepmom was the piercer there, so she
Uh-huh.
actually trained me to take her place. And then I was pretty much working there as a piercer, shop manager, kind of helping my dad out.
So you even then at that time you already kind of sort of knew you grew up into that lifestyle as
Yeah.
far as the tattooing, the business
hmm
side, as far as how to even manage the shop
Yeah.
and the piercing part, which a lot of the times now is like they go hand in hand.
Yeah, they go hand in hand. And at the
Yeah.
time, I just thought I was like so cool doing it, because I mean, what 16-year-old is like handling the business and stuff like that. So I felt really privileged to be, in that experience, learning it and stuff like that. I didn't know then that I wanted to tattoo yet, just
Mm.
because I was like, okay, do I want to do this because my dad is doing this, or is this kind of my thing? So I did tattoo here and there, friends, but it wasn't serious at all. There was no like, path that I saw yet. I kind of got out of it for a little bit, started bartending, got used to that until one of my best friends opened up a tattoo shop, and he was like, "What are you doing? come, come manage the shop." So I quit my job. I started piercing for them and managing that shop, and that's
Yeah.
how I started like my serious career. And that
Okay.
was probably about 10 years ago.
Okay. So at 16 years old, you start working with your parents, with
hmm
your mom. I'm sorry, with your stepmom and
Stepmom,
your
yeah,
dad
yeah.
and your dad. And
hmm
at that time, is there anybody that maybe kind of criticized because you're supposed to be in school,
Oh,
maybe
no, I was in
learning?
school, I
So you
was.
were still doing
Yeah, yeah, I
school.
was in school, and then
Okay,
after school, I would just go to the shop and
cool.
then work there. We'd close, like, about 9:30. So from that time to that time, I would work and then just go home.
Got you. Was there anything you were doing in school that was artistic or anything like that that you like?
To be honest, I wasn't the best at school.
So good. Some of
I
us
we
just,
moved a lot.
yeah.
When I was younger, my mom, we moved. I went to like 4 different high schools, so many elementaries. So I never, I guess I kind of gave up trying to be like a part of a team, or because I just felt like I was never at a school long enough.
Mm,
Even, graduating, I didn't graduate normally. I ended up graduating from like a credit class, a credit school where you like just
yeah,
do it on the
yeah.
computer and get
Yeah, of
your
course.
diploma. So yeah, there's really nothing I was doing in school. I just did not like school
Mm.
for some reason.
I don't think it's for everybody.
It's not.
Yeah.
And at the time, everybody looked down on you like, oh, go to school, go to college. And at the time, it was really hard to feel like I was making the right decision. But
hmm
sometimes you just gotta trust your instincts.
Okay, so when he tells you that he's opened up a shop and he
hmm
wants you to manage, and you're working there, managing the shop and piercing, you're not tattooing yet, or maybe I don't know if you're helping him out.
No.
What clicked to make you like, you know what, this is it. This is going to be the path for me now.
Um,
And did you missed it when you were not doing it when you were doing the bartending?
I did. I missed having a creative outlet. I really missed being able to. And when you tattoo, also you're kind of like a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you spend hours with somebody
Of
just
course.
close to each other. So I really, and I've always been good at customer service. That's why bartending really came normal to me. But I did miss it. But even then, at bartending, I still wasn't like, I need to be tattooing. I wasn't just like there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I started taking it seriously, we started traveling, doing conventions, and I was just like, I was drawing a lot and stuff like that, So one day he just looked at me. He was like, "So when are we gonna start tattooing?" And I was like, "You know what?" And I was actually in Palm Springs at that time, and I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "I'm gonna start." And that day, I did a small tattoo, and then I just didn't stop, and I just kept it super serious since then.
What was the small tattoo that you do for? Who was it for?
It was just a customer. Um, I think it was like a cross or something. Oh, you know what? I'm totally lying. We were in Odessa, and
Mm.
I had a few clients. Shout out to Odessa. Um, yeah, I think it was like a little cross or something. And it was nothing crazy, but I was like, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do.
At that moment when you was already piercing, those thoughts were running through your mind.
Yeah.
This is it.
And
Yeah.
then, piercing, I'll always have that skill, but I was ready to move on from
Yeah.
piercing.
So you start going full blast, just doing the tattooing at that time.
We were doing a lot of conventions,
Mm-hmm.
traveling. I got to do Baltimore. I got to see Hawaii twice doing the
Nice.
conventions out
Beautiful.
there. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, we did like San Antonio, and so it was just a great experience. And being able to travel too, like it just really opened my eyes to a lot, and it was a good feeling. So,
Yeah. What was the best favorite? Well, besides Hawaii, what other place was the favorite for you
um,
that you kind of were surprised that it was one of your favorites?
so fast forwarding a little bit, me and my husband actually did a little tattoo tour in Europe, and that was
Wow.
pretty life changing. So
It's Europe.
yeah, we started in Barcelona, and then we went to France and then Switzerland.
France
And
and Switzerland.
mhm,
Wow. Yeah. Europe is awesome too.
yeah, it's totally different. I mean, it was totally like a culture shock too.
Yeah. Okay. So you're right in regards to the tattooing as far as the therapy, because you're not the only one. I had another tattoo artist with a tattoo shop that
Yeah.
talked about those things.
Mhm.
He even talked about maybe even doing a podcast as he's tattooing just to have the talk. What was some of the most impactful stories? Not to give the people away or the
Right,
person,
right,
but
right.
some of the stories that you have.
Um so I've actually had somebody that came in, their brother passed away and they wanted to get every tattoo that their brother had.
Really,
Exactly to the T. You
really.
know? So that was it's almost hard to, mimic somebody else's because obviously the styles were different. So I had to kind of mimic other styles that was a little bit old school, but it was so impactful to her. I could tell that she was crying through and one of them, and we did them in different sessions, and one of them was this small, and still it was just so sentimental to her. So
Yeah.
just anything like that, and a lot of people look at tattoos as ink therapy. So they come and they literally just release everything that they've been waiting for, and even if the tattoo has nothing to do with how they're feeling, it's just the therapy of like getting
What do you think
tattooed.
it is that happens? Is it the pain? Is it the
Yeah.
fact that they can't run away anywhere and they just have to kind of sort of like face it right there in some of
Yeah,
those.
and some people really do just enjoy that I think shift of like awareness, because once you're focused on the pain, you're really just focused on what's happening right here. So I do think it gives some people like a release, and there's I would say 95% of my clients are like, I couldn't wait for this day, like I'm finally here, like I just love it here, like this is a good vibe. And
That's
luckily
awesome.
I've been blessed to have amazing clients. Like each one of my clients were just like this. So
That's awesome.
thankful for that.
So whenever that particular person comes to you with something like that,
Mhm.
of course, what are your first thoughts? Because you have to do a great job because you know what they're
Yeah.
doing it for, and it's very important to them because
Yeah.
of what happened.
Mhm. Being a tattoo artist, you really have to have confidence because this is something you're forever on somebody. And unfortunately, there's a lot of tattoo artists that don't care. There's so many cover-ups that I've done, and just even memorial pieces that just were done terribly. And that sucks. Imagine going to get something meaningful and then it's just trash. you
Yeah, of
know?
course.
So I enjoy it and I appreciate the trust, and I'm thankful that they trust me to do that for
For
them.
people like that, not the artist, people are gonna be what they're gonna do,
Right.
whether they're gonna be bad business or not. For as far as a client that's looking, they never got a tattoo, they're looking for a shop, they're looking for a place, a
Mhm.
person. Would you recommend them for them to look for as far as that they're reliable, they're going to deliver on what they say,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trustworthy people, even though they might just not know. But in their search, what do they
Yeah.
need to look for?
So I tell people this all the time. You can go into a shop and just because there's licenses on the wall, when you get a tattoo license, there's no art test. They
Mm,
come and inspect that the building is good enough to tattoo and clean enough. So I tell people sometimes that gives people confidence, like, oh, this is a legit shop. They have a license. But everyone could suck in that place. So, I'm telling you, so the license means
yeah, yeah, yeah.
nothing. Like it does mean they pass inspection, but
The thing that you told me that clicked that it never clicked on my head was like, just because you had the license doesn't mean you took a drawing a drawing test.
there is no type of test. They don't ask you nothing. There's nothing. They don't ask you, have you ever picked up a tattoo machine before? Nothing.
You crazy?
No.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I tell people that just first off, don't be impressed by the way it looks because that could be nothing. Second, I would say look at healed work. You want to see their tattoo, 2 years later, are they posting what it looks like after the peeling and stuff like that? Because there's even a Instagram page that kind of calls out tattoo artists, like famous tattoo artists,
Really?
for their tattoos not healing great. And there's a lot of top notch artists on there, and day of the tattoo looks amazing, and then they'll post like a picture of it, a year healed, and it's like not the same tattoo.
What is
And
it?
this is
What is the
and
name of the page?
no.
Well, it's on
Oh,
Instagram, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah. It's
find
an
it, right?
Instagram page. Oh my god, I don't know it off the top of my head. I can send it to you guys, but
Yeah, send it to
yeah,
us.
I'll send it to you. But it's pretty. It's terrible, especially that these people probably paid like $4,000
So
for
what
that
what is
tattoo.
okay? Even though they're really good, and the first day looks really great, what are
Yeah.
they missing that they don't make it last? What are their technique that is not?
Sometimes they're just not like going. Like let's just say with color, for example, color. It's a very slow and like process to saturate. It has to be saturated very slowly. So if somebody's kind of just like running through something and putting the right darks so that it looks good, right then, like you really can't as a client, you really don't know what's the difference between a dark gray and then a black. Like, you know what I mean? They don't know.
Yeah,
They're just like, "Oh, I love it." And then so you really can't know. You really just have to do research on, field and then also third, I would say, try to talk to the artist because there's so many people. Like, I ask people, so what made you choose me out of, everybody in Dallas? And they're just like, you know what, you actually spoke to me like a human being. I didn't feel like I was wasting your time. You wrote back, not in 2 weeks, you let me know. And even if you were busy, you let me know, like, I'll get back to you. So a lot of people tell me, like, it was just the fact that you spoke to back to me, you gave me respect, and you made me feel like you cared about what I wanted. It wasn't just about the money or because
yeah,
sometimes you walk in and they're just like, okay, well, I charge this, so email me or sometimes they don't hear back. Or I've heard stories of famous artists, even here in Dallas, that they're just like, they were so rude to me. They're like, I went wanting a tattoo and they just like they'll either just not even acknowledge them in the shop as they're sitting
yeah.
there, or by the time they do, it's just like, what do you want?
Ego is a hell of a drug.
Ego,
It's a hell of a drug.
So So yeah, I would say just fill it after you do the facts on, the work. If the work's good, just meet them. And if you don't feel a good vibe, just walk away.
Okay, so we kind of sort of gave a little bit of it, but and it kind of sort of their red flags a little bit. But
Yeah.
what is three solid red flags for sure that you just like immediately you can catch them like, oh nope, I
Three
gotta go.
solid red flags. If the shop is by a bar and you walk in and you want something, like you're for sure getting it from an apprentice.
Oh wow.
For sure. I mean, there's a chance that there's somebody open, but 9 times out of 10, it's somebody that's learning, that's sitting there waiting for somebody to walk in so they could keep learning. And they're not going to be like, hey, I'm an apprentice. They're just going to do it. And half of the time, people, there's a lot of people that want tattoos like sporadically, like today, I need a heart right here.
Or they got drunk
Or that's the worst, which it's
and
like
made it to the
that's kind of
shop.
your fault. You're
It
drunk,
is.
like you signed the paper.
It is.
But I would say that's a not a red flag towards the artist because everybody has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But to somebody who's looking for a quality tattoo, like don't just walk into a
Boom.
shop.
That's one.
Two, I mean, if they're not smiling at you as soon as you're sitting down, if they're just like, okay, no, yeah, have a seat. They're not into you doing your tattoo. It's probably gonna come out like shit. Like, if there's a bad vibe and you're not like I'm all about the vibes. So if, I've had a client tell me that she went to get a tattoo, and he wasn't talking to her. He wasn't really making anything cool or anything like that, and she ended up just not really liking that tattoo. And it wasn't like a bad tattoo, but you can tell there's just no love in it.
I think it's like for people you were telling me earlier, they're like, can't wait to go to a tattoo. It's the experience itself
It's
too,
the
right?
experience, yeah.
Yeah.
So for those people, it's like you get what you pay for. If you're not even asking like, hey, how long have you been tattooing, and you're getting a tattoo, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I tell people cover ups are way more expensive. So just really think about it.
Why are they more expensive? Because it's more ink and more
It's
room that you have
just
to take.
It's depending on what it is. It just takes more saturation, more color, and it also may take like another session to, like I just did. She had an alien, black outline alien with like green and red, and just the black outline was so dark, and you can tell they just like did it so hard,
Went in
like
deep.
scarred. Yeah, I went in deep that the black that I had to use, like I had to really go over, and I might still have to go for over it like one more time just to make
Wow.
sure it doesn't like pop out when it heals.
Mm.
So, and it hurts more. It's like you're going over, especially if you're scarred, we're going over scar tissue, and we have to be more, pack it more because we're trying to cover. So it hurts more. It's more expensive. Takes a little bit longer because we have to be like sensitive with the skin. So it's all around just not going to be the best experience.
Yeah. Okay. So with two flags. Now third one. What will be the third one? The
Um,
last one.
third
There could be
one.
more, but we're just going for
Yeah, yeah,
three.
yeah. We're just gonna go with three. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I think the licensing part. You don't. I guess I don't know. I'm just guessing, but just don't get fooled by like the pretty look of the shop. Could, like you said,
Yeah.
might suck.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a red flag counts,
Uh
but this
huh.
is something going on right now. There is a lot of people out there booking clients
Uh
and saying
huh.
like, "Okay, well you need to send me your deposit. I'll be at this shop." And they'll kind of act like they're from out of town. And sometimes they steal other people's work and just put it on their page. They'll get the deposit, and then the client will show up to the shop and they'll be like, "We don't know that person."
So
Like a
there's
scam. Scammers going on.
scammers that
Mhm.
you so you really have to call and talk to somebody to.
Yeah, like you really have to know who you're if you haven't been following this person for a while, or you know what I mean? You really have to be careful because now that's a thing that's coming up now.
You
They're
started very
taking
seeing it for the
I did. Mhm.
for the past what 2 years, 3 years,
No,
last
I would
year.
say this year, like I just started seeing it grow. Some people like, hey, I follow a lot of groups on Facebook, tattoo groups
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So I've
Mm-hmm.
seen a few people like, hey, I almost sent this deposit, then found out that this person's not even coming here, or it was a fake page. So
Ouch.
people are sending deposits and then just like showing up to their appointment, and they're like, we don't know who you're talking about. There's nobody working here of that name.
Okay, what are your thoughts on shops that when you call, they don't even want to give you a quote. They want you to go to the place to walk in there to be
Yeah.
able to get some type of number for you to know.
So it's a business strategy.
Yeah.
Once you're there, you're probably 70% chance you're going to just get the
So you
tattoo.
committed to drive over
But it just
there.
depends what kind it is, though, too, because I mean, let's just say somebody wants an 8-hour piece. That's not something you can just, okay, come here, I'm going to do it now, especially if you're booked and stuff like that. So it's kind of a business strategy. I don't think it's, especially nowadays, like we have so much going on. Not everyone has time to just stop at the shop. So for me, I try to give the best estimates as I can. Most people DM me, and if they need a virtual consultation, I'll do it to make them feel more comfortable. But I don't see a problem with giving an estimate.
Yeah.
I mean, why not prepare somebody for what they're gonna pay?
Okay. What are your thoughts on numbing cream and what is your your story behind that?
Okay. For the record, I've used it. I've even tried. One of my friends had what is the shots, like the numbing stuff that they use like at the dentist and stuff?
Oh,
Lidocaine.
lidocaine.
So she actually had
What?
lidocaine shots, and I actually tried it. I wouldn't recommend it. I personally don't like numbing cream because, for one, you have to gunk it on, okay, and then you wrap it. So if you have sensitive skin, it's gonna make your skin raw and like soggy. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Which
Mhm.
is already gonna mess up your skin for the tattoo. Your tattoo's already not gonna heal right
Mm.
because your skin's already like tripping.
Oh.
So, and then the only way I would say okay is if it's a little tattoo, but then it's like, it's a little tattoo. Why are you numbing yourself? You know? So I'm just like, especially if clients come to me and it's their first tattoo, oh no, you're feeling it. It's like getting
Yeah.
jumped into the community, you know? You can't,
Get a jump there.
you cannot get a tattoo and you're not gonna feel it. There's no way. So all of my first time clients, I'm like, no, ma'am, you better get something smaller because we're not gonna numb you. So
Yeah.
I think that's just fair. Like you just have to know what it feels like. On top of the fact that numbing cream only lasts maybe 2 hours, 3 hours maybe, and then if you're doing a 6 hour piece, by the time that numbing goes out, you're gonna feel the
Everything.
burn, the soreness, and then you're gonna tap out.
Thank you so much for being here today and checking out this amazing episode. Make sure you go and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment and a like. And now back to the episode.
Okay, so for you, it's more of like the skin is not the nice
The
canvas,
health, the health,
canvas that you
yeah.
wanted for you to work on,
hmm
because you feel like you're just not gonna give you the results that you're accustomed to doing for
Yeah.
people that don't use the numbing cream.
And if they want to use it, I just let them know they have to buy it, they have to put it on, and I just warn them there's a risk that it might affect the way your tattoo heals. I do have a numbing gel that is for open pores that I'll use maybe like the last hour of my tattoo. When I know I maybe have to jump around and it's gonna get a little uncomfortable, so I'll numb them so that I know I have an hour to just go ham and I know they're gonna be comfortable. So
Okay.
that doesn't affect the skin just because I feel like the skin is already open. So it
Mm.
actually helps the swelling go down a little bit.
Okay, so the cream and the gel are two different things. Because
hmm
normally the cream,
It's for unopened pores.
and you have to read the instructions because you have to
Please.
apply it like what with almost an
There's
hour
there's
right
different.
before.
Yeah, some are 30, some are an hour, and then they last different. Like the time is different. So please read it. And I would always say to do a patch test. Just put it somewhere else, maybe for 30 minutes and just see, is there redness? Is there irritation?
Make sure you're not allergic to
Make
it.
sure you're not allergic, and then I would say use it like that.
And then the gel, does the gel automatically kicks in? Is that
Yeah. So
different?
I'll saran wrap it for maybe 2-3 minutes, and yeah, and my clients will be like, "Oh my god, I don't feel anything."
Why didn't you tell me about this
I know,
before?
and I honestly I don't mention it until I'm
Until.
like, "Hey, I'm gonna hook you up with some stuff real quick," and sometimes I don't tell them, and they're just like, "Hey, I feel good," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know, dude."
My the gentleman that Good Pain
Yeah.
tattoo and Grand Prairie, I had him and his daughter. They were
Mhm.
telling me stories about the numbing creams. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it
But
is.
yeah, that uh, for them is whatever, right? But I like that part of like for you personally, just the skin might just not look.
Yeah, yeah. I want the tattoo to have the best chance at healing correctly.
Yeah.
So like I said, if they want to use it, I'm like, you put it on. I don't want to touch it. That's your choice. And I only have one bad story with that.
Okay.
And
Can you
I have
share?
yeah, yeah. So I have a client that I tattoo. She's great, takes it great. She brought me her daughter. Her daughter wanted a snake around her ankle, which is painful. And I was like, okay, no, we're gonna just keep the snake in the front because
Mm-hmm.
and she was very nervous, very, very nervous, like pacing, very nervous, not like a normal. Usually when people come, they're ready to relax.
Did she had a fear of needles by any
No,
chance?
she had tattoos,
Oh
which if it was
wow.
her first tattoo, I would have told her like we're definitely not doing that. But so and she even had one right here, which the rib is a pretty sensitive area. So I was like, okay, no,
Yeah.
that's cool. She knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, immediately she had it wrapped. She said for like 2 hours already. I already knew
It's already over.
it's a done.
Yeah.
And I knew her skin was already gonna not be great, but I was like, "Okay, let's just do it." So as I started, yeah, she was just dying. She was asking me to like numb this part while I was doing the bottom and then like switch, and it healed terrible. And so I pretty much told her we're gonna have to redo the whole thing, and she has not came back.
That
She
was a long time ago.
maybe like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
She did not come back. So I told her, "Don't worry, girl. We'll do it. We'll do it good next time." But yeah, she has not came back.
Do
So
you ever turn away people that go into your shop? You have the vibe is good, everything's great, but as soon as you start, I don't know. Carter's clipped a little thing where the guy was little Caucasian boy was getting a tat and he was freaking the hell out like how much it was hurting.
oh
I don't know
my
if you seen the
god.
video.
Yep.
Have you ever had where everything seemed to be great, the vibes and everything, but as soon as you started putting the needle to the skin, is like,
Mhm.
oh,
I have a really good client from Italy. I've tattooed his arms and everything. I did one on his leg, and he just immediately knew he regretted it. I could feel, I'm like this,
You
so
can feel the skin
I
moving.
could feel his leg just tense up, like just tense. And I was like, "Are we okay?" And he was just like, I don't know how long I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to do this. I was like, okay, let's just do the outline, and luckily it wasn't a lot. It's just that a part of it had like red, which is a lot of saturation, and yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't finish it. And he's like, I don't care to finish it. I'm happy with it like this. I'll never get a tattoo on my leg again.
Is it okay? So the rib, the collarbone, um, I've seen a lot of people with face tattoos and
hmm
leg. Now you telling me, what do you think for you, as far as your experience, is the most painful place to get a tattoo?
Definitely like the feet, the knuckles, like in between the
By the
fingers.
way, all her
Yeah,
stuff is like,
yeah,
you could
yeah.
take some paint. Jesus.
Yeah, this one's pretty in there.
Yeah.
So those are just because it's bone, you can hear like so it's but to be honest, I tell everybody don't judge pain off someone else's experience because I've met people that are like, "Oh yeah, I have my whole back tatted. It didn't even hurt." And then I'll get to know them and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've broke my leg like 3 times." You know what I mean?
So
Their
their
pain
pain tolerance is
tolerance,
so high,
yeah,
not
their
even
life has
comparable.
given them a different pain tolerance. So I tell people it just depends on your life because I know people who say that the tattoo hurt more than birth. Some lady told I was like, "No way. No way." So it's different for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus,
Yeah, I was like, "You must have been really drugged up because there's no way that this hurts more."
yeah,
So,
it's just so crazy how each individual is just a little bit different as far as sensitive
mhm.
to pain or the placement of the tattoo. All that
Yeah. Mhm.
are factors as far as like if it's gonna hurt or not. Have
Mhm.
you ever turned anybody away that you just were not able to work with them whatsoever?
No.
Just didn't work out.
Mm-mm. Thankfully, I've had I mean, if anything, maybe there's a few people that I feel like they get a lot of anxiety, trying to make a decision because it's forever. So
Mm-hmm.
they're asking a million questions, and then sometimes it'll be like a 2-day conversation of back and forth ideas, and then they'll just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna wait. So even then, that's not
Mm.
me turning them away, but it's just some people just can't make up their mind.
I mean, it
And
shows that you're not really wanted. Of course, I'm sure you want to get paid for your work, but you're not trying to push them into getting something
no, mm-mm.
just for the money's
And
sake.
even if like they show up to the appointment and I feel like they're still not, I'll just be like, you know what, let's just reschedule,
Hmm.
just so that we know for sure.
Yeah.
But luckily, I usually understand what they want and I can usually represent it pretty good.
What is the weirdest place that you've made a tattoo? The strangest place?
Um, I mean, I guess it's not strange, but this girl just got her boyfriend or whatever he was named just right over all her
A
area,
middle area.
and just all over the area. And I was even tattooing her like, are you sure you want this? And he was the type that was like standing right there, making sure I didn't like. I don't know what he thought was gonna happen, but I just felt it was kind of uncomfortable because I was almost like, is he just making her get this tattoo? So,
That's
I don't know if
commitment.
that was like yeah, for one, it's like a strange place, but then the awkwardness that came with doing the tattoo, I was just like, "Oh god, I just wanna be done."
Yeah. How long did that take? That tattoo?
It took about an hour and a half
Yeah.
just to because she did, like, some cursive, and then we were, like, filling it in a little bit. And then, I mean, this area is, like, sensitive, so she would kinda, like, twitch and I was just like and then her boyfriend was just standing right there, like I'm like, "Do you wanna finish the tattoo or what?"
Really?
Yeah, there's
And
some very
what was your husband at that time?
oh, we hadn't met yet. I
Yeah.
was I was still in El
Oh,
Paso.
really?
Yeah, I was, in the shop.
Wow. Okay. Would you ever not tattoo somebody? Like, for example, some people might not just tattoo your face because it's just something that they don't want to do. Is there something that or a particular tattoo that you would just not do for people?
I don't think I would do, like, a Nazi tattoo or something
You would
like
never
that.
do
I don't
anything
know.
like
I
that?
mean I guess if I, like, knew I don't know. I don't that's what I'm saying now because I haven't been put in that position, but
Yeah.
maybe, like, a super demonic one too. I don't know if I would do it.
It's just not your vibe, not your
Yeah,
thing.
no. It would have to be, like, super artistic cool, but if it was, like, on some weird, like, I don't know. If I felt like it was, like, some weird magic stuff that they're.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't do it. I'm not really into messing with energies that are not good for me.
There's some weird stuff you might not understand. You don't know what
You
could
know what I
happen.
mean? I'm just like, I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
I don't know what all these symbols mean.
But I don't want none of them.
Yeah, no.
Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. So you
Okay.
left El Paso. You were with the shop. I don't know why you decided to move on to Fort Worth. Did you were done there? Did it played out or what
No
happened?
particular reason. I was just I had already been traveling, doing conventions, so I feel like my mind was just like, what else is there, you know? It was really hard. Shout out to Ink and Iron out in Chucotown. It was a great experience working there, but my sister was in Atlanta at the time and we were kind of just both wanting something new, you know?
Yeah.
My mom at the time was in Kentucky, so I thought Dallas is right in the middle of everything. And then, I met my husband, he lived here, so it just felt like everything was pulling me to move here. And then once I moved here, my sister moved here, my mom moved here, and then she takes care of my grandparents, so they moved here. So, everything just kind of.
Was it Dallas that you ended up first, or was it
Oh,
Fort
Fort
Worth?
Worth, Fort Worth.
Fort Worth.
I have to remember that they're not
Oh,
the same.
they're
The
not
first
the-
time,
oh,
the first
man.
time I came over here to a club, I remember somebody asked me that, and I was like, "Oh, I'm from Dallas," and they're just like, "Where?" And then I said, the area, and they're like, "Oh no, you're from Fort Worth," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah," and they're like, "Oh no, girl, it's not the same," and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry."
It's not the
I was like,
same.
but it's true because it's not like if you live in Las Cruces, New Mexico, you can't say I'm from El Paso. It's not the same.
It's
So
not the same.
I
Oh, so you have that same thing too over
yeah,
there for
I
them?
understand, so because there's some people will just even like Sunland Park, New Mexico is right there, across the railroad. So it seems like it's right there, but it's not the
Oh, let
same.
me say this.
Yeah,
They both different. They both have their own vibe.
very different.
Recently, I've been hanging around a lot more in Fort Worth.
Mhm.
Fort Worth's got his own chill,
Yeah.
own identity, own thing they have going on.
Mhm. Mhm.
Even more of like a Texas type of feeling
Yeah.
compared to Dallas. Dallas is just a different thing.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
some people do take it more prideful that they're from Dallas compared to Fort Worth. But Fort Worth people are very proud too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they
Both sides.
I'm telling you, they got their own stuff going on over there too.
Yeah.
The people are friendly. They got their own stuff going on. They always have things going on. The city's growing beautifully, and
Mhm.
a lot of the people involved in growing are, shout out to the Hispanic Forward Hispanic Chamber of Commerce because a lot of them are involved in a lot of things going on because they
Yeah.
do amazing things over there. So to each their own,
Yeah.
but it's the same feeling for both sides.
Yeah.
Like
No, I
Forward
get
people
it.
feel the same thing about
Yep.
Dallas, but it just, we're Texas.
I just had to hear it once, and I was like, got it.
Got it.
Noted.
Never again.
Never do that again.
Okay, so when you get here, so you meet your husband over there and you come here?
So I actually met him at a convention in Midland, I believe. I was still living in El Paso.
Yeah.
And we talked for a while before I moved over here. So by the time I moved over here, we were already together, everything.
That's cool. What's his name?
His name is Tip. His IG is Mr. Tip Tattoos. You guys can look him up.
Salvadoreño.
Salvadorian, yes, sir.
Savi. All right, what's up? That's what's up. Okay, so when you get here, you already immediately start tattooing. Your
Yeah.
clientele's not here anymore.
Yeah.
So how do you go about trying to network with people, meet people, and get clientele? How does that work for you?
It was really hard, when I first moved over here, he kind of would tell me like, "Hey, it's okay. I have a lot of clients I can send to you."
Mm-hmm.
But once I got here, he does super realism. So I had to realize that, if somebody wrote him for a tattoo, they were looking for his style, and it wasn't going to be so easy to do that. So I really had to figure out how to do that. But I would just, go to the malls. I would pass out cards. I mean, I have tattoos, so there's so many times that people are like, "Hey, I like your tattoos," and then I'm like, "Oh, I do tattoos." Till this day, that's like the best way I get clients. I have clients that are like, "Yeah, one time you just gave me your card at a store randomly, and it's been 3 years, but
So
hey,
you be
here
out
I
in the
am."
trenches, just
Yeah,
passing
yeah.
your
You
card
need
out.
to, yeah. If you're gonna move from a city, you need to get out there and meet the people because
Hit the ground running.
word of mouth is gonna be the best thing you can have.
Referrals.
Referrals or review. And then doing more tattoos. It's like, "Hey, I gave your card to 3 people today," and I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
So shout out to everybody who's recommended me. I love you guys.
Awesome. Okay, so now you've been focusing a lot more as far as the tattoos. Like your focus currently is on tiny tattoo courses that you've been doing, right? Tell me
Yeah, well,
about
I
that.
do a wide variety of tattoos, but I have started this tiny tattoo seminar course. There's a lot of people right now, kind of, a lot of permanent makeup artists switching into tattoos,
Mm-hmm.
or even just people getting into the industry. You know what I mean? They have to start small. Line work is just a must. So I thought it would be really cool to be able to share that with people and give them the first steps into tattooing.
That's awesome. So when did the backtrack a little bit more? When did you finally, yeah, you and your spouse decided to go into and open up your own place, your own private shop that y'all can
um,
work out of?
we immediately already had like one of those little rooms and like one of those big salon suite
Mm-hmm.
places. But then we just decided we need something bigger. So now we have and it's actually a really cool spot. It's they're these like box office warehouse suites, and they're made from the shipping containers,
Oh yeah,
and they're all stacked on top of each other like different colors, and there's a bunch of art all over and stuff. So we
that's
really
cool.
love the area. They're the material is just really hot in the summer.
Yeah, I'll make
That's
imagine.
the only negative thing, but I absolutely love our studio. We will be moving soon, probably to something a little bigger, so we'll stay tuned for that. But
Awesome.
we opened that one maybe I think it was 2020, and we've been there since in
Since
that studio, yeah,
since that
since
studio.
2020. But before that, we just had like different rooms that we would rent. During COVID, we had even one that was super small, and we could only work in there one at a time. So definitely started from the bottom, and it's definitely been growing.
How did it go for you for COVID? Because yeah, technically we're not essential workers or whatever
Yeah.
they call them.
To be honest, we were a little bit scared, but there was so many people that had time off that hadn't had time off in so long. So we have an office in our house, and we just turned that into the studio. And we had a lot. We even had a 49er come to our house to get tatted.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, we were blessed, but a lot of our clients that just never have time off were like, "Hey, I'm off for COVID. Are you guys tattooing?" And in the beginning, we were like, "No, we're not doing anything." But then
Hmm.
once, it started getting out that it wasn't as serious as it was, or whatever the case may be, we kept it really, one person at a time and stuff like that.
Was there
But
any protocols, temperature checking, mask
I
on, and all
mean,
this stuff?
most of them we knew, so we're just like, please be honest. If
If
we
we keep
have kids,
coughing, stay at
yeah,
the
like don't
house.
come over coughing, but still we would wear masks and try to keep it as. And that room was in the front of the house, so it's like there wasn't no, you know what I mean. It was just all in the front of the house, so
Hmm.
it kind of worked out for us, thankfully.
What do you mean about a 49er? Was it like a
No,
player?
the football player,
Like
yes,
an actual
an
player?
actual
How did he
player.
find y'all?
Oh, my husband tattoos him, and he just found him through his art.
Yeah?
And when he hit us up, we were like, you know what? We're tattooing at the house, and he was like, I don't mind. He brought his wife, and
Does he live here in
yeah, he's over here from Dallas. I mean,
uh,
obviously he's not here a lot, just from being, playing and stuff, but he's from Dallas.
that's dope.
Yeah.
Any other celebrity stories that you have that you tattoo?
Um, Mostly it's my husband with the celebrities.
Mm.
But I'm trying to think.
Any famous people that you ran into that did tattoos by any chance? Or maybe you just run into the conventions.
Yeah, at the conventions, you'll see, everybody from Ink Masters. You'll see a bunch of,
Yeah.
artists from Europe. You'll see, so there's a lot of people. I follow there's a really good artist from Dallas. Her name's Deanna. I follow her, and we were just at the New York convention, and she did like this whole leg sleeve in one first place, and so it's like you get to
Yeah.
see a lot of greatness in one room. So at those places, you definitely see a lot of famous artists and stuff like that.
So your husband seemed to be very accomplished
Yeah,
as far as what he does.
he's got 20 years tattooing.
20 years
He's got
tattooing.
some time on me, and he's really amazing.
And do y'all go still to the conventions? Do you like that? Do you
So
enjoy
right
going out?
now we're super parents, so we haven't been able to
Mm,
travel as much, but our kids are getting to an age where it's probably start traveling a little bit
yeah.
more.
Do you like those? Do you like to go to the conventions and be part of it and just be in the environment?
I do. It's a great environment, especially if you're trying, because a lot of people ask me like, "What's the point of a convention?"
Yeah.
And you're really either going to win an award, or just make some money, or just kind of put your brand out there a little bit more. So especially like the conventions here, it's good to like go meet people and stuff like that. But if you're gonna travel, I tell a lot of artists it's a hit or miss. I just tell them don't do conventions if you're like struggling for money, because there's a chance that it could be a slow show. You never know. And then, so I definitely don't tell people don't travel just like
Yeah.
with no plan B, because sometimes it's a little bit hard that way. But it's a good experience, and I think every artist should try it out.
Yeah. Like I never been to one, but I didn't. And yeah, what's the point? Of course, networking
Yeah.
does help a lot.
Mhm.
Making connections, but I didn't know that you could actually even make money from the convention
Yeah, yeah,
itself.
yeah.
Like talking about just tattooing on the spot.
Yeah, there's some
Really?
people that are taking walk-ins there, and then for the people who are trying to win an award, they usually have appointments already set up because they'll probably do like they'll tattoo somebody, same person for 3 days, do like a big piece, or
Yeah.
so that's usually how it
What is the
goes.
longest session that you had to do for a actual tattoo?
The longest I've done, I think, was about 9 hours.
Jeez, in
Yeah,
one sitting?
and I mean we take breaks and
Yeah, of
stuff,
course. Yeah,
but yeah,
here it breaks, but still 9 hours. And
yeah.
what was it? Was it a back tattoo? Was it a sleeve? What was it?
It was a back. I
Yeah.
have like a whole mandala back piece on this girl, this client of mine, and we were like, let's just. I was like, you tell me when you're done, and she was just down to keep going. So we just did as much as we could until I could see. There's a certain point where you could see the skin is like no longer wanting to work with you.
Yeah.
So once I saw that, I'm like, okay, girl, we're gonna cut the session right here.
You had sent me a few questions because I asked you about, and
hmm
totally forgot to transfer them over to my
No, you're good.
iPad. But there was a few of them that you had in regards to the things that you wanted to talk about a little bit towards, as far as of course, the tiny tattoo seminars and things that you're doing now, which is great.
hmm
But as far as the moving to the city to pursue your dream,
hmm
like, of course, it's tough and everything else. But was there any hesitation at all whatsoever? You were just like, I'm gone. This is where I need to be
I
now.
mean, there's always, for anybody that's wanting to move, I feel like there's always that, like, what if I don't make it? Especially if you're trying to be self-employed. I mean, it's easier to move if you can get transferred and stuff like that. You just start over. But specifically speaking to like people who want to be self-employed, it's super scary not knowing what can happen, not knowing if you're going to get clients. But I just feel like it's important for if you're thinking about moving, like it's
Yeah,
because it's probably for you
yeah.
so I feel like I would hope to inspire people to just kind of go for it. And of course, you know what I mean, there's people that tell me like, I have kids, I can't just do that. So there's a way for everybody, but I would definitely say it's good to at least travel and see what else is out there, what other opportunity you would have, because I feel like it's always successful. Everybody that's ever moved or anything like that is always
Hmm.
like, you know what, I can't believe I didn't do it sooner. Or and especially coming from a small town like El Paso, a lot of people just kind of get stuck there. There's so many people who have never left or and there's not a lot to do. The drinking scene is pretty big. So a lot of people kind of just get caught up in having fun and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I think for me, I just wanted to kind of expand a little bit more.
that's great. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the shop. Do you have a particular name for the shop, a brand that you push in regards to that you're known for? Or is there, well, of course, the
Um,
name of the shop, but is that something that you just want to keep pushing?
yeah, Ink and Beauty, we
Ink
came
and
up with
Beauty.
that just because I do offer permanent makeup too. There's like another side of the tattooing that I offer, so it was kind of like half and half, Beauty and the Beast, him and her type of thing. So that's where we came up with that name, and we kind of pushed that
You
in the
remember when you came up with the name?
I mean, so our shop, the shop I was at in El Paso was Ink and Iron. So I didn't like do that on purpose, but when it came out, it was just like, yeah, that's it. you know?
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, let's call it that because our LLC was actually Vida Mia Tattoo Studios.
What is it called?
Vida Mia.
Vida
And that was
Mia.
kind of, him when he was alone and what our shop was before we opened this one. So then, we really kind of wanted to just bring what we both do into a shop, and that's kind of where we came up with that.
So his stronger suit is the
Yeah.
tattooing, the life, you said
Mhm.
murals,
Mhm.
and yours is a lot more of the beauty
Yeah.
areas. So what are other services that you provide? Because you were telling me about other services in the shop that you're able to provide, which
Mhm.
Ink and Beauty is great.
Yeah. Thank
You
you.
know, it just really sums up
Yeah.
everything that
Yeah. It
you
does.
do.
Right.
But in regards to the services, if
Mhm.
anybody was to find you, look for you, and talk to you, what all the things that you offer?
So I offer eyebrow tattoos, the permanent makeup, and there's a lot of different techniques and ways that it can be done, which I do all of them. I also do the lip blushing, which is pretty much a little. It adds like a tint over your lip, and those both
I know all
last.
about it.
Yeah, got it.
Nah,
Those
just kidding.
last about 2 to 3 years for some
Wow.
people. And then I offer non-injection lip fillers.
Which ones?
They're pretty much they're lip fillers for somebody who doesn't want to go under the needle.
Mm.
It's pretty much a pressurized pen that creates pressure that will shoot like the filler in, and it pretty much stays on the like higher levels of the epidermis, so it doesn't go as deep as like I don't know if you've ever seen lip fillers, but the needle's going in
I've
there.
seen horror stories of
Yeah,
those.
there's horror
They're
stories,
like
of
a
course.
cartoon type of
Yeah,
situation.
I know it could be really bad, but
How long does those last? Those fillers?
so if you do it consistently, they can last anywhere from 4 to really it depends on you and how you heal, but it could go 3 to 6 months without needing a touch up. I have a client that was super consistent for a whole year, and now I just have to see her once a year because we've like built to that.
Wow.
So lip filler is about building. So
Mm.
that's a little bit more technical, but I do offer that. I would like to offer eyeliner too in the future, but like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm trying to just stay focused on what I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. Of course.
But I mean, in the future, I would love. It would be amazing to be able to have like a salon side of the shop, and then the tattoo side. Because even SMP, it's like more. I don't want to say more professional, but it's more like medical. It's more
Mm.
so I guess in the future we would like to have a small separation between that, but for now we're just keeping it
So the
easy
reason
peasy.
why you're here is because you are friends with
Mhm. Yes.
Erica Martinez from Fort Worth SMP,
Mhm.
and that's how we ended up connecting.
Yes.
So you actually also do SMP scalp micropigmentation,
Yes. Yeah, I took
and
her class.
yeah, what made you want to? Where did you find her? Did you find her, and that's the reason why you wanted to do
So
it?
she actually was when she just opened up, she was working 2 or 3 doors down from
Oh
us.
wow!
And I remember when she just started, she was a little bit nervous, like I don't know if this is gonna go well. And I was like, Erica, you're doing amazing already. Like,
Man, she
stop.
is.
So once she moved there and opened up, the clinic, I was like, girl, you're killing it.
Yeah.
So shout out to her. And it's always and honestly, it's the after for me. When she, even in her interview, she talked about what it does for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I love that. Even, me for eyebrows, it's the same. I've tattooed clients who maybe went through cancer or just plucked them in the chola era and they
Yeah.
don't have anything, and then the confidence that, eyebrows really make your face. So the confidence that they get from seeing themselves, it's just like, there's no feeling like it. Knowing that you help somebody's everyday life.
Do you get a sensation of that too, of
Yeah.
being of help to people like that that are
Mm-hmm.
coming and seeking for, just I'm telling you, like I was like blown away with the fact of
Yeah.
the things that you don't think about that other people really have to go through day to day
Yeah,
with all
like she was
this
talking about
anxiety and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
like going to a restaurant, I think she
yeah,
said.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, or and then, even for girls with eyebrows, not everybody knows how to draw their eyebrows on. So there's girls out here just or you've seen them, you know what I'm talking
I
about.
don't know nothing. I ain't seen nothing. What you
And
talking about?
when I first tried to do eyebrows, I was in El Paso, and that was
Yeah.
when there was no trainings, there was no like ombre powder brows. It was just like and when I started, I was kind of just fixing all these eyebrows that were like solid black or green because back then there was no permanent ink. It was just tattoo ink.
So
So
all they
black
had is the Sharpie mark that looked
Sharpie
like it.
mark, and I
God.
quit because I was like, you know what, this is not fun for me. Like I don't know how to fix these. So I
Mm-hmm.
quit for a while. So I think it was 2000 I think like 2020 when I found this girl. Her name's Neezy Baby Beauty, and I fell in love with her technique and stuff like that. So I actually went to New York to take her class.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
So how many of course you've been doing it what 7 years now tattooing
Mhm.
solid.
Mhm.
But of course you're always expanding and wanting to educate yourself in
Yeah.
different techniques. So you
Mhm.
actually willing to go to travel to
All
get
the
those
time.
all the
Yeah.
time?
Being an artist, you can't stop learning. There's if you feel like you've learned enough,
You
you already
barely
failed.
scraped the
Yeah,
surface.
you don't know anything because every year there's
Blunt,
something
yeah,
new.
yeah,
There's
of
new
course.
products, there's new techniques, there's
New
new apps,
guns, new
new
equipment,
machines,
yeah.
so it's like you never stop learning in this industry ever.
And it's beneficial for you to keep learning because you'll be falling behind of the other
Exactly.
people that are getting the stuff.
Exactly.
So you got to
And
stay ahead.
there's kids out here like straight from art school getting into tattooing. So,
Yeah,
yeah. And I mean good for them. And then on the other side there's people who don't draw at all that tattoo.
they
So,
do.
yeah.
What?
Yeah, there's some people that don't draw at all. They just kind of they can copy paste or there's some artists that are really good tattoo artists. They are really good, but they don't draw. Like they can't just freestyle and draw
Yeah.
something up.
Yeah, I like the fact you were telling me about the SMP about a lot of women go through some stuff that
Yeah.
helps them too as well with some of the things. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So a lot of the SMP I've done is on women. Going through anything from stress to postpartum. We lose a lot of hair like in these areas. So there's a lot of women that struggle from not having density right there. Some girls
Mm,
never wear their hair in a ponytail. Will never wear their hair in a bun just because you know what I mean. They don't want to show.
yeah.
So it's the same sessions, about 2 to 3, and it'll really create a dark density that'll kind of mimic a spray or. So that also helps a lot of women.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, just like SMP,
Mhm.
every so often you have to retouch it.
Yeah.
Um, why? Because it's more on the top surface of the skin. Is the makeup the same thing for the eyebrows and the lips that you have? That's why you have to every so often retouch it.
So usually you'll get your first appointment,
Mm-hmm.
and then anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks after that, there's a touch up that's required. Just because we get to really go over anything that didn't heal right, and after that touch up, you can go. I have a client that's had her eyebrows for 4 years, and they're a little
Mm.
bit light, but they're perfect. So skipping that touch up will only allow your permanent makeup to last maybe like a year or two. Just because that second touch up is really what locks in like the color, the saturation. So I have a few clients that don't come back, and then it's like a year and they're like, "Hey, they're kind of faded already." And I'm like, "Well, girl, you never came back for your touch up."
So during the talk,
So,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
doing
We
the
tell them, and then some clients just don't come back.
marking your calendar, girlfriend.
Yeah.
This
So
time you have to come see me.
that's what I give to Erica though, because she charges everything at once, and then it's like it's already paid for.
Yeah.
So they have, and then they have to come back. So I'm learning from Erica too. I'm
Yeah.
gonna start doing that.
Yeah. I like the you also offer the payment plans that I seen on
Yes,
your
Cherry.
website. Yeah, on your IG stuff. The
Mm-hmm.
website, I don't know if you're under construction, right? You still
We are,
working on it?
yes. We're getting we just hired a new marketing team, so we're gonna
Mm.
have like all of our website done on Google, super legit. But yeah, we usually recommend a touch up and stuff like that. But and then even for the eyebrows, we recommend like a color boost every maybe 18 to 20 months, but that doesn't mean you need it. It's
Mm.
just if you feel like maybe the color is a little bit dull. It really depends on how much you're in the sun, lifestyle.
Yeah.
I have clients that never go outside, and then their eyebrows are great, and then I have the sun beauties that are just all quemadas, and they're gone.
You
but
know what?
but I'm like, I'm here for you.
But the thing is, that even I learn something every time I have somebody like that. It
Yeah.
just doesn't ring a bell to me to be you're on the sun is gonna affect if you have any ink,
Yeah.
and it does.
So the first 6 weeks of any tattoo's life is when it can heal the quickest.
Mm.
That's when like you need to be covering it. I'll have clients send me pictures like they're at the beach or something, and they'll have like a toalla or like a shirt. They'll be like, "Look, it's covered," and I'm like, "I'm proud of you."
That's the hope.
But yeah, definitely, a lot of sunscreen on your tattoos. I have clients that are like, "I only put sunscreen on my tattoos." I'm like,
Everything else,
"Yeah, no, forget everything else, but my
it is.
tattoos, they're covered." And I'm like, "Okay."
That's crazy.
I'm like, I'm not judging you.
Okay, so I know you were super excited to be here, and again, it makes me feel really nice that you wanted to be here
Yeah.
and be interviewed. But was there anything else in mind that you had on your drive over here? Like, I wish you really asked me about this, or I wish you touch up on this. Is there anything else besides the questions and things that I asked you so far?
Um, I guess right now a big thing is just I want to shout out like all the moms going hard right now.
Yeah.
I'm a mom. I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Hmm.
So it's definitely hard to be self-employed and be a mom and a wife and and I know so many, Erica being one of them, just out here killing it, being a great mom, being a great entrepreneur, like inspiring people, changing people's lives. So, and to the dads too. There's a lot of single dads out there, you know what I mean? Everybody just trying to be better at everything for their kids. So just I want to shout out to all the parents out there going
Awesome.
hard for their kids.
Awesome. All right, so we're running a short on time. Thank you very much for coming and sharing everything that I think very informative and the passion that you have. When did you know? I know you like art for a
Yeah.
long time, but do you remember your earliest recollection of just loving art, loving to just start drawing, scribbling, and anything else?
Yeah. I mean, in school, me and the art teachers were just that was my class. Me and the art teachers were always, always so cool. And it just came so easy to me, like drawing fruit. And, obviously that's like a little bit boring sometimes when you're in school, but to me, it was just so igniting. And I loved being able to like bring something realistic into life on paper. I just always thought that was amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see it definitely. All right. As far so it's not very obvious that
Yeah.
you're a tattoo artist,
I know,
like kind
right?
of sort of. This one right here. What is this right here?
So, my mother's maiden name is actually Humble.
Uh-huh.
So I have the script right here,
Wow.
and he actually did it like freehand. He drew it and then just kind of
Who's
did it.
that? That
His
did it?
name's Chicago. He's the owner of Ink and Iron in El Paso. The guy I apprentice under. So he just like drew it. He's a Sharpie master. So he just drew it, and we just did it. One of my
Ho
least painful tattoos.
How many tattoos you have
Oh
total
God,
for
I don't
you?
know.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm like, I have one now. I'm just like all one.
And who's your go-to person now as far as artists? Is it your husband? Is it somebody else?
Yeah. Now we just tattoo each other whenever we can.
Really? That's
Like I have
dope.
a cover up that I've been needing to finish on his arm, and you would think people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're married to a tattoo artist. You must get tatted all the
All the
time. It's so
time.
cool." I'm like, no, I have to put myself in his schedule, and then you know what I mean. I remember even one time I wanted a birthday tattoo, and he had no. I had to wait because he was
What?
booked, and I'm
Yeah, of
like,
course.
that is not cool.
Well, it's good
I
that
mean, it
he's
is
booked,
good,
but
but
it's
it's not
yeah.
what people think. They think we're just at home, like tattooing each other all day.
If I
Just,
was to think that if y'all were artists, then
yeah,
whenever you're chilling watching a movie,
yeah,
it's
just
just
all
like
the time. Just let me see your foot.
maybe if y'all were younger and
Maybe
learned.
if we didn't have kids,
Yeah, well,
maybe.
that
But I
too.
think that too is just like we're just tired. We're like, turn the lights, go
So
to bed.
if artists, tattoo artists are married to each other, they're not always tattooing
We're
each
not
other.
always
So
tattooing each other.
whatever you ever thought about, that's just not the
It's
case.
false.
That's
Totally false.
again, I'm one of the guilty ones because I would be thinking like, hey,
Yeah, it's easy, right?
But it's great that y'all stay busy, y'all stay
Yeah.
booked, and y'all continue to grow, the business, expand the business, your knowledge, and just keep learning. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
so give me all your social media, everything, and any projects or any events that you got coming up soon.
Okay. Our Instagram is going to be Ink and Beauty Tattoo. And there we also have another artist at our shop. His name is Jake. He's also on there. He does, we all kind of do different styles.
Yeah.
But you can follow us there and find all of us there. My main page is going to be Vita Bay Ink, and that's going to be VIDABAYE_ink.
We'll put it on the description, all of them.
Got you guys. And then just be patient for our website. It's coming up.
Yeah,
But
of
once
course.
that's up, we're gonna have everything on there. We'll have we do a lot of raffles. We do a lot of giveaways and stuff like that.
That's
So
cool.
definitely watch out for that.
Absolutely. Any events that you have or any
We
projects?
just had a customer appreciation. We're definitely gonna be having another one. I don't have a date yet, but that will be coming soon. Before we are thinking of moving from this place, so that'll definitely be before we move. We'll have
Okay.
another event at our
For your
shop.
appreciation day, what does it consist of? You have
We gave away two $2,000 tattoos.
oh wow.
Yeah. We had so that was the raffle, and then we did an online giveaway, one for $500 and one for $300.
It's still not.
Still good,
Yeah.
So we definitely give them away, and then Mother's Day, I try to always give one away to somebody's mom, or try to we always try to give back as much as we can.
So a lot of the things that you evolve in just giving away or and of course helps with the business is giveaways and raffles and things like that.
For like appreciation events and stuff like that,
Yeah.
we do always try to give away and give back to our clients, because at the end of the day, they're coming and spending money on us, trusting us to give them a forever tattoo. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
definitely appreciate you guys.
There you go. Much love to ya. And do you have any okay, so the project will be kind of the website. Is there anything else that you have? I know you already have a
Besides-
lot of services that you offer.
I know,
you-
I know. Right now, we're really focused on making like merch. I would really, we want to start
Yeah.
painting more, have like art for sale, stuff like that. So definitely building little by little. But right now, we're just trying to stay busy and continue to grow. Even though I've been here 7 years, I still feel like I don't know anything here. So I'm
Really?
still always
Absolutely.
trying to grow and meet people. So it's been
Just-
awesome.
So maybe later on it'll be beauty and ink. Or ink and
I don't
beauty and
know.
more.
Maybe and more. Just
And-
and more.
and more. What more, man?
Just what else?
There's a lot. Ink, beauty, ink and beauty and whatever else. That's
Yeah,
pretty
my
dope.
husband has even talked about, having a podcast too, because he's kind of like
Yeah.
a history. He loves
Yeah.
history and stuff like that. So a lot of ideas, a lot of stuff that we want to get together in the next few
Everybody and
years.
their mama has a podcast now. Laura's have podcast, Rose's have podcast.
Yeah.
people that you would not think have a podcast. They're
Yeah.
doing podcasts. You know,
But shout out to your podcast. I
Thank you
love that
so
you're
much.
representing, Latin people and everything. I love our culture, so it's important.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It means a lot.
Yeah.
And shout outs. I know you gave shout outs earlier to the moms and the dads too. Don't be sad.
Yeah. Don't be
But
sad.
who else would you want to give shout outs?
I definitely want to give a shout out to my shop, my husband, just for the constant support. Give a shout out to Ink and Iron in El Paso, Texas, of course, because, that's where we started. Shout out to my dad for putting me in the mix. And just all the support from everyone, everywhere that I've ever been. I still keep in contact with so many clients, and it's just great to constantly get that support.
Yeah.
So
Do you get people coming from far away, from out of town to get
yeah,
in?
I've had
You
people
said
drive.
Italy, right?
Yeah, he actually lives here.
Yeah,
He's just
okay.
from Italy.
Italian.
But yeah, I have people drive from San Antonio, Austin. I've had people come from El Paso. So it's definitely, it feels good when people are like, yeah, I drove all the way over here for you.
And
it's
out of
like,
state, anybody?
I've had somebody come from Florida.
Nice.
Where else?
You sure
And
was
California. Yeah, I've had
sure
some.
wasn't the alien guy? I'm just
I
kidding.
know, right? Imagine. That'd
Don't
be
bring
kinda
that
cool.
alien guy. I'll
Tattooing an
tattoo you.
alien. I'd be down.
Would you do it?
I would be down.
Yeah, you have to learn their skin, see what it feels
I
like.
know it's all slimy.
Okay, what is an important lesson that you learned doing tattooing that you would tell your younger self that will help somebody else out? What would that be?
I think the hardest thing was just to honestly trust that I could do this. There was such a, especially during my apprenticeship, thinking of doing big tattoos would just scare me. I don't know. I just was not that I felt like I wasn't good enough, but it was really hard to get past that line of because it's a thin line between still an apprentice and then okay, I'm a tattoo artist now.
Mhm.
So it was really fuzzy for me to kind of get there to be like, okay, I'm no longer an apprentice. And there's never really a moment that says okay, you graduate now, because it's really on you. But I would just, recommend to just keep going, and keep practicing. Practicing, even if you're not tattooing on people, there's fake skin now. You can tattoo on bananas. You know what I mean? Just learning the depth, learning and just draw. For anybody wanting to be an artist, I just feel like having that creative outlet, because there's sometimes that during a tattoo, maybe something will wipe off, or maybe an ear will wipe off, and then what are you going to do? Are you going to re-stencil it, or can you just redraw it in there? So there's moments like that where it really does take creativity. So I would say for anyone just wanting to just keep practicing.
So you just gotta keep your hour. You get I get this moments at the time where se me va todito. I get short circuit of what the heck did I was trying to say. So you really do have to put in the work, the hours, and the practice, because
Yeah.
otherwise, it's gonna show
Yeah.
on the work, the final product eventually.
And even I can tell that I've been tattooing a long time. Let's just say I'll have a week that I don't, or a few days that I don't tattoo or something like that. I can tell I have to warm my hand up. I'm not so. Imagine for somebody that doesn't really know a lot, and then they're not practicing.
So you warm up your hand?
Yeah, you have to. Well, now, it can warm up by itself, but even I can tell my hand is not as loose as it is an hour into the tattoo.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So, and even Erica, she still practices a lot. She still does a lot of malins. She still does her, and she's great. So,
Yeah. Okay, I know you said earlier that from apprentice to artist, there's really
mhm.
not a moment, but there had to be a time where it kind of sunk in where the confidence
Yeah.
met the practice that you have been doing forever and a day. Do you
Yeah.
kind of sort of remember a time when you were just getting down and you were like, oh yeah, it's me?
Yeah, I think the moment for me was back in El Paso. I had a friend that wanted a spine tattoo, letters down her whole spine. And at the time, I was the shop manager, so I
Hmm.
set her up with an artist, and she came in, and I'm like, okay, let me show you to the artist. And she was like, no, you're gonna do it. And I was like, no, I'm not. I was like, there's no way I can do it. And she was like, girl, yes, you can. And she passed away. Her name was Jeanette. Shout out to her. But she was like, dude, I'm not leaving until you do the tattoo. And she
Mm.
literally made me, and I had to get over it at that moment, and it came out great. And at that moment, I saw that it was just me in the way. You
Oh,
know.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Why do you think she insisted on you, and why did you feel like you saw? I don't know if it was a friend of yours you seen
Yeah,
for
she
a
was a
long
friend of
time.
mine.
Did you feel like you had a conversation and you you needed a little bit of push of believing somebody believed in you that you can do this.
Yeah, there was definitely no conversation. She was just an angel that walked in and did that for me, you know? But I definitely feel like that's spiritually, like that's what I needed. I feel like
Yeah.
that was brought to me because that's what I needed to get past that, the confidence I was lacking. And after I did it, it really like gave me so much confidence to just do it. Like
Come with it.
just
With the gun. I'm a tattoo artist now.
Who's
What's up?
next?
Who next? That's awesome. All right. Normally, whenever I wake up throughout my day or sometime, maybe some meditating, maybe something, I'll be
Yeah.
like, I say this mantra or this saying because I heard it a long time ago, which I thought it was very interesting to remind myself. I'm
Mhm.
not immortal. I am mortal, and I will die one day. And that's just not to terrify me, to scare
Yeah.
me, to be like, oh my God. It's more like it happens every day.
Every day.
It
Yeah.
happens every day, and we're so fortunate and grateful that it doesn't happen to us or anybody
Yeah.
close to us, right?
Mhm.
So, but it makes me realize I need to hurry up and do things, keep moving, keep doing things, keep
Mhm.
fulfilling things because we're not here forever in a day.
Exactly.
We're not here forever.
Mhm.
With that, I wish you a long, prosperous life, all the
Thank
success
you.
in the world with everything that you do. But after everything's said and done, what do you want people to think and feel about your life?
I guess I would just want people to see that anything's possible. And unfortunately, the main things that stops everybody from reaching their goals is, like I said, I was in my own way. Is literally just us. Especially right now with everything going on in the world, mental health is so important, and I think it's so important to just come through for yourself. You say you meditate in the morning. That is a part of it too. I feel like everybody should have that moment to be alone with themselves and be comfortable and know that, you know what I mean? Trust yourself. Because there's a lot of people out there that I know amazing artists out there and they don't have the confidence to pull through for themselves.
Yeah.
And like I've seen people just crash, like they just gave up. And it's kind of really sad to see. So I would hope that anybody would get the message to just not give up and be your biggest supporter.
Yeah.
Be there for yourself, for
Yeah.
sure.
They they could like, for example, you kind of stopped a few times, but it always kept calling you.
Yeah.
It always kept calling you. Always found it to where the path just kept leading that
Showing up.
direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool that it did that for you. I mean, shout out to you for 7 years and being consistent. It's crazy to me the stories that we get to dive and to talk about. But when you see somebody on social media or wherever it is, you
Yeah.
never think of anything, right? Of course, you feel like you might know that they have a life, but
Yeah.
4 years old with your dad, I can almost see it of
Yeah.
how you're just paying attention, waiting for the moment, and like
Yeah.
now, and then you with
Mhm.
your foot, and that all that stuff is crazy to me. That how it kind of builds you up to be this person that
Yeah.
you're eventually going to be and do the work that you do.
Mhm.
And especially, I know some people think that a tattoo might be a tattoo. People might not be against tattoos. They don't
Yeah.
really care about tattoos. But the fact of the things that you say in regards to the therapy part, that other people helps them, right? They,
Yeah.
they get to find something about themselves. They get to
Mhm.
maybe even vent. They get something out of their heart that maybe just for whatever reason either they don't want to go to therapy because of
Yeah.
that, and at the moment they get to release with you and talk
Mhm.
about, and then also the impactful things about the certain tattoos that you do that gives confidence to people to go out in the world and feel proud, even though they should, but I
Yeah.
don't know, something there is just not connecting.
Yeah.
But you help them to be out in the world and be for them presentable, and then we be able to interact and have that confidence to be just out and about
Mhm.
and be like, yeah, I'm a tattoo artist. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm this person and that.
Yeah.
So with that, without a doubt, Drea, you are a global Latin factor. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here. I appreciate
you.
your time. I appreciate you finding us. I appreciate, just the conversation in general. So thank you. You definitely are a global Latin factor. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
All righty. This was another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast. The Global Latin Factor podcast. You're another name. If you've been here, if you watched to the end, go and subscribe. Carlos be throwing some egg. What do they call eggs?
Uh,
Easter eggs. Easter
Easter eggs.
eggs. On some of the episodes, he be throwing Easter eggs.
Yeah.
He don't think because what I be doing is I be watching the entire episode in its entirety, so it's kind of like quality control. But at the end, he think he's slick. I don't find the things that he be putting in there. I'm like, really, Carlos? I see it. Even the disclaimers when he proves me wrong. Well, he corrects me, and I'm all for it. I'm not perfect, in that sense. So I appreciate whenever he throws in some stuff that I misspoke or corrects me. So that's cool. So hey, yeah, be on the lookout for that. But in order to do so and get notifications, you gotta subscribe to the channel. So remember to subscribe to the channel. And remember, we are just like you. We are humans. We are the spice in this melting pot that it is the world. Till next time. Bye.
Thank you very much for checking out this amazing episode. We hope that you enjoyed the story. Make sure you go and subscribe to the channel and check out the episodes that we have prepared for you. Until next time.
Walks like a pero but in fact is a flamingo. Coming to Havana.
They're gone.
Welcome back to another episode of the Global Latino Podcast, where we talk about Latino everything. Yes, today we are diving into an incredible blend of martial arts, music, dance, known as capoeira. Yes, I know you heard the term. Originated in Brazil, capoeira isn't just martial arts. No, it's a story of resistance, culture, and global connection. Yes. So, what exactly is capoeira? Capoeira is a Brazilian martial arts that dates back to the 16th century that has roots deeply embedded in tradition brought over by enslaved Africans. These Africans take from places such as Angola found a way to change their strength and hope through movement where both forms were of self-defense and cultural preservation. That's what they did when they took this dance and this mix. Now, let's talk about the origin and early practice of capoeira. Yes, capoeira is believed to have descended from an Angolan ritual combat technique called Angolo, a method used for self-defense, especially when outnumbered. Now, the practice was not just about fighting, no, it was an art form, a dance, and a way to communicate resilience. The enslaved Africans disguised their training by, guess how? Incorporating music, acrobatics, and rhythmics, I'm sorry, my apologies, movements so that it appears as if they were dancing. Now, this allowed them to practice without fear of punishment and keep their spirit alive under the harsh conditions. Now, there is a fascinating facts about capoeira. Now, when capoeira was practiced in those early days, it wasn't just about mastering kicks and flips. No, it included range of techniques such as kicks, headbutts, evasion, and even acrobatics. Yes, the main focus was to integrate between the attacks and the evasion, creating a fluid and unpredictable style. Let's move to the struggles and the band. Yes, the band of capoeira. In the 19th century, capoeira's reputation had evolved in the streets. Yes, it became more than just martial arts. It turned into the means of survival for those of the emergent societies, including warlords and criminals. This led to a notorious reputation for capoeira fighters who were known for their agility and unique combat skills. Did you know that during this time, capoeira was often practiced with weapons? Yes, like razors, knives, sticks, and even rocks. The most common weapon was a straight razor or navala, and it was something held between their toes for seamless integration into kicks. that is amazing. Now, capoeira fighters were known for their devastating headbutts, yes, you heard correctly, which were effective enough to be noted in police records. One very particular story dictates tells a gentleman, a capoeirista named Celestino, whose headbutt had taken out a soldier immediately and caused his end, just like that. Because of its growing association with crime violence, capoeira was officially banned in 1890 by the Brazilian government. Capoeiristas who were caught practicing could be punished severely, sometimes with imprisonment. Yes, if you were caught, you was going to jail. Now, let's dive into the revival of capoeira. Despite all these challenges, capoeira never disappeared all the way. Instead, it evolved and adapted. In the 1920s, capoeira masters started to reform their art and incorporate elements from other martial arts, such as judo, to show its value in regards to the legitimate form of self-defense. This period marked a shift from street combat to a more organized and respected practice. Enter Mastre Bimba, a pivotal figure in capoeira's history. In 1932, Maestre Bimba opened the first official capoeira school in Bahia, Brazil. His version, called Capoeira Regional, original capoeira, was modernized with the elements of gymnastics and jiu-jitsu, making it more structured. This led to a greater acceptance by the Brazilian public and authorities. Now, on the other side, we have Master Patina, who emphasized with the preservation of capoeira Angola, the traditional form. He found his own school and focused on keeping the spirit and the roots of the capoeira alive, connecting it to its African heritage and now capoeira and its global influence, because what we are, the global Latin factor. That's right. Now, capoeira's journey didn't stop there. By the late 1970s, it had its way and made its way across the globe, spreading on the United States, Europe, capturing the hearts of millions with the dynamic and captivating nature that it is. Capoeira. Today, capoeira is a practice worldwide, people from all over and all walks of life. Now, in 2014, capoeira was granted UNESCO status. If you know UNESCO, we talked about it before, which is the intangible cultural heritage acknowledgement and its cultural significance and contribution to human creativity. Yep, that's what it is. Now, fun facts about capoeira. Let's talk about it. Let's sprinkle in some few fun facts that you might and can help and probably share with your friends. Did you know that capoeira is performed in a circle called roda? Participants take turns playing instruments, singing, and sparring in the center. Did you know that? Now, the traditional instruments include berimba, which sets the rhythm along with drums and tambourines. Bop, 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 tambourines, baby. Yes, that's right. Now, here's another fun fact. Capoeira isn't just the physical move. It has its own unique songs and chants, often sung in Portuguese, that tell stories of historical figures, challenges, and victories. This musical element enhances the interactive and communal spirit of capoeira. And one last one, just a tidbit, one more for y'all. Capoeira's influence not just martial arts, but popular culture as well. Now, you can spot some capoeira moves in music videos, movies, games, and even some artists performing some of these capoeira moves all over the world. That's right. Capoeira today continues to be a symbol of resistance, culture, and freedom. It's more than just martial arts. That's right. It's a dance, a game, and rich history and tradition. From its roots as a hidden form of self defense among slaves people to celebrate global practice, capoeira has come a long way. Now, that is all we have for today for the Global Latin Factor podcast. Remember to subscribe, and we hope that you are enjoying this amazing episode that we're putting together where we explore this beautiful world of capoeira all the way to Brazil. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And if you have not subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. And if you're curious about capoeira, highly recommend to look up some videos so you can check out what is it like, what does it look like, what does it sound like. And remember, again, we are truly, truly happy that you are here enjoying this episode. We'll see you next time. And remember to subscribe, support, leave us a comment. Right now, drop a fire emoji. And remember, we are just like you. We are the spice in this melting pot that it is the world. Till next time, bye.
Thank you very much for checking out this episode of the Global Latino Factor podcast. Make sure you go and subscribe to the channel and check out one of the other episodes that we have prepared for you. Thank you very much. Till next time.
Walks like a pero but in fact is a flamingo. Coming to Havana and reflecting.
Welcome, you now to another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast, where we talk about Latino everything. Thank you so much for being here and joining the community. If you have not subscribed to the channel and checking out all the amazing stories that we have amazing stories from different individuals of all walks of life, and you can be part of the community and check out their stories right now by subscribing. Today, we have an amazing individual. We have a passionate and dedicated bilingual financial advisor with a mission to empower individuals from all walks of life with sound financial planning. The founder of Blue Ladder Financial Planning, LLC, and also Air Force Reserve, and much more. We have Omar Aguilar en la casa. Hi, how you doing?
Hey, doing great. Glad to be here.
Did I get everything right on your introduction?
Yes, sir, you did.
Sorry, I had to recover. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. I know we met in one of the chamber events, the Coffee with the Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber, and Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber, to be specific. And we connected. I kind of sort of told you a little bit of what I do in addition to my regular daytime. But I appreciate your time and appreciate you wanting to be here and let us know what you do.
Sounds good. Yeah, so my name is Omar Aguilar, and I'm a financial advisor and founder of Blue Ladder Financial Planning, LLC, a financial planning firm dedicated to helping everyone, all walks of life, just pretty much get their start their journey towards financial planning.
Awesome. We're going to get to more of that, but first we're going to start with a segment that I like to call Preguntas al Chile. Preguntas al Chile, you like this, you like that. ¿Estás listo?
Preguntas al Chile.
Are you ready? Tacos o tortas?
Tacos.
Corn tortilla or flour tortilla?
Corn tortilla on the tacos, flour tortilla, si es some chorizo con huevo or something like that, of course.
Gorditas or pupusas?
Gorditas.
Mexican coca or jarrito?
That's a tough one. I'm going to go with jarrito.
Jarritos, what flavor?
Tamarindo o limón.
Ooh, tamarindo limón. Yeah. Very refreshing. Agua de horchata, Jamaica, or tamarindo?
No, actually, agua de limonada.
De limonada?
Yes.
Ooh, have you ever had limonada with Jamaica?
I haven't. Actually heard you on one of the previous podcasts mention that. I'm going to have to try it.
Man, so refreshing. So good. Salsa verde or salsa roja?
Salsa roja, some chile verde that my mom makes with chicharrón también.
Yeah?
Yeah, but everything else, salsa roja.
Does it have a home way of making salsa that is
Yeah, she definitely has a thing for it, and that's pretty much the only type of chile that I eat. My mom makes that chile verde con chicharrón. Delicious.
Chile verde con chicharrón. Yeah. Favorito tamales. What is your favorite tamal?
Tamales rojos, but my suegra actually made some tamales the other day that were with rajas and some queso.
Yeah.
And they definitely hit the spot.
Yeah, awesome. Valentina, tapatio or Cholula hot sauce?
Addicted to tapatio. Everywhere I go, I have to take a bottle of tapatio. Mexico, traveling, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, enchiladas or chile rellenos?
Enchiladas. I'm not much of a chile relleno person, but enchiladas I'm okay with.
Awesome. Menudo or pozole?
Menudo. Well, pozole actually. Pozole. I have to change my mind on that.
Okay, so they got the red one, the white one, the green one. Do you know which one you like best?
The red one, my mom makes uno de pollo. Man, that hits the spot as well.
Yeah, some people make it with pork, but your mom makes it with chicken.
Yeah, she'll make it with both, but with chicken, that's a little bit different, and I like it.
Nice. And now we're going to get to some desserts real quick. Churros or flan?
Churros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, crunchy. Sugary. You can't have too many. We have a diabetes problem in the Latino community. You can have a little bit, but not a lot. Okay. Cumbia, salsa, merengue, or bachata dancing?
Man, I don't think I've ever tried some cumbia. I'm not the greatest dancer, but I can defend myself if I had to.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. A conspiracy, this is not even close to the same line of question as the other ones. A conspiracy theory that you heard one time, that when you heard, you're like, that could be true. Or like, that sounds true. What could that be?
But I don't believe in a lot of conspiracy theories because I feel that if someone actually knew something, people are going to be able to tell. I mean, imagine the ranchos where, you say one thing or a chisme gets out. Everybody knows it in 2 seconds. But a couple of years ago when I was going through basic training, we were just having, on a Sunday where everybody was just chit-chatting. And there was a guy that his dad worked for Area 51. And we're all like, what does your dad do? What does he do? And he's like, I don't know. He doesn't really talk about it other than he teaches physics there. And we're like, what? He's like, he will never tell us what he does. But since then, he's kind of somewhat retired, but out there in Shreveport, which over there we have Shepherd Air Force Base. And that's all that was said about that now he works out there at that base. And fast forward a couple years from now, we're with a couple people in my unit. We're chit-chatting about certain things. And topic of alien comes up. Certain people have seen certain things. And then we're talking about where they were, Area 51. And then somehow they got moved over here to Shreveport as well. And it just clicked in my mind that, hold on a second. I remember that one guy from Basic talking about his dad worked at Area 51 teaching physics, got moved to Barksdale over here in Shreveport. And I don't know, that one kind of.
Why are they sending them there?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the pattern that way. Is that the route?
So that to me intrigues me.
Awesome. When you hear the word Latino, Latina, what's the first few things that comes to mind immediately? What would that be?
If you identify with Latino, Mexican, just me being Mexican, but just having pride. If you say, hey, I'm Latino, you're pride. You have pride in where you come from and who you are.
Do you get offended if somebody calls you Latino? Do you prefer Mexicano, Chicano, or do you have a preference? Human being?
No, unless I know that specifically they're saying it from a derogatory point of view. But there's a lot of things that, I don't get offended by a lot of things. So very hard for me to get offended over certain things.
Awesome. I appreciate your service, by the way. Thank you so much. I know that you just re-enlisted.
I did.
How many more years?
3 more years.
3 more years.
Yeah.
And Air Force.
Air Force Reserves.
Yes, awesome. Again, if I was to redo it again, Army, I probably would have gone to Air Force too. But thank you so much. I appreciate your service. Okay, now, you are first generation Mexicano. Yes. Your parents made it from, is it both your mom and your dad from Jalisco?
They are. Yeah,
Okay.
from a very small town, Rancho.
Can you tell me just a little bit of their journey to the U.S.? Did they ever share that story? How did they get here? Is there anything interesting about their story coming over?
Yeah, so my mom is the second youngest of about 12, 13 individuals. And by the time that, she was growing up, she already had probably nephews that were her age. So for her, it was very easy to come over, become legalized. So she didn't really struggle in that aspect. But my dad, on the other hand, he had to cross the border illegally a couple of times. And I love to hear the stories that he has to offer to me.
Yeah.
And I was telling you that they're funny now, and he laughs about them today, but they definitely weren't funny back then when they were
Yeah.
happening.
Of course. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what he used to have to do in order to make it.
Yeah, so he tells me one time that, of course, first time he came over with a couple of two adult individuals. Somehow they got caught, and they got separated, and they somehow tried crossing again. They made it, and he had to go back. And he just says that he remembers getting back to the rancho. And by the way, shout out to Los Azulitos, Jalisco. That's
Azulitos.
Los Azulitos, Jalisco. That's where we're from. And he ran into his dad. His dad was on the way to go sembrar, and he just remembers seeing his dad and saying, kind of when they see each other, they know what it meant that he didn't make it through. So it was like, hey, don't worry about it, mijo, vamos a comer. As I'm sure you're hungry. But there's definitely other stories of him running away from the migra when he used to work at the strawberry fields out in Oxnard, California.
Wow.
And just having to run for it, right?
Yeah, of course. And as soon as the Miga gets there, everybody got to make their way, try to get away.
Yeah.
Oh, you said your dad was an athlete even back in the days.
Oh yeah, my dad's played sports even to this day. He's 62 years old, still plays baseball almost every single Saturday as a catcher as well. So if I'm half of his health when I'm his age, I'll consider myself very lucky.
Yeah, so you were born in California, you was telling me, and for a little while you lived in Mexico, Jalisco, and then you made it back to the States. Now, anything interesting for you regarding going to school as far as here in Texas or California you remember at all whatsoever, or everything was just pretty normal for you?
Everything's pretty normal. I remember in Mexico, los maestros, they were definitely, hey, check your hands, make sure they're clean and stuff like that. If not, take them out and, con una regla. Exactly. So I remember that. I remember a lot of times in Mexico where things were a lot simpler than what they are today. And you kind of take it for granted, but you definitely, different time.
Yeah. Do you go back often? Have you been recently?
I haven't been recently. I think the last time I went was maybe about 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We do go back to where my wife is from. She's from La Escalera, Durango. Again, shout out. So we go there often because she still has family members that live out there. Her grandpa, who's 100 years old, and they want to go back as much as possible.
Wow, 100?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, so did you want to, as soon as you got out of school, high school, did you go immediately to college? Did you attend to go to college, or did you find a job into the financial services? Because you've been in there for some time now.
Yeah, it's been 17 years, and I did both. So my dad's like, hey, this is where life happens, right? The easy part is over. Now it's tiempo de trabajar. And I got very lucky. I started working for Chase. I was actually going to Tarrant County College as well to be in education, to be a teacher.
Oh, wow.
And I was telling you that I think the only reason I got hired at Chase was because I spoke Spanish and someone hit my card during the interview. So that kind of broke the ice, and that just led this whole journey, 17 years later. I never would have thought that I'm opening up my own financial planning firm.
Awesome. Okay, so you get to work for Chase for some time. How many years?
8 years.
Okay. Did you transition to financial advisor at the time with a firm? Is that even a thought? Who brings it to your attention that could be something that you could do?
So I started as a 20-hour teller. Very shortly after, there was some manager changes. Certain people, like always, drama, they didn't like each other. So people started quitting. And all of a sudden, in the banking world, the 30-hour position is a promotion from a 20-hour. So I was like, sure, I'll sign up for that when they offered it to me. And then shortly after there, I changed locations, and they're like, a 40-hour position is this is what you want? And I was like, sure, sign me up for that. And I just worked my way through the banking system as a teller, assistant banker, and then branch manager at a point. And it was always never, hey, this is the next step I want to do. It was just kept being offered to me, and I was like, okay, it means a little bit more money. Until the point where I was like, I'm making more money now than I would as a teacher. Do I really want to go to school?
Yeah.
So that's kind of when I stopped going to school. I wish I hadn't, and I tell different students now that finish your school because you will always have that for the rest of your life.
Right.
Even to this day, I still take 1 or 2 classes. So one day, finish out my degree.
That's awesome. Okay, so now you continue doing the banking, very stable. When does the financial advisor path come to be? Is it in the bank itself? Because, Chase has a wealth management
They
department.
do. And I remember a good friend of mine, David Cepeda, great mentor. I still talk to him to this day. He was a financial advisor, and he was one of the few financial advisors that wanted to be in the Latino community, helping out your people. And it was just, he started talking to me about it, different investment, things like that. And I was like, okay. Then it came to a point where Chase was changing. Chase is amazing bank where they're always leading and testing new things to see if they work. And I applaud them for that. But at one point it was like, hey, do more with less. And I found myself working more hours as a manager than as a banker and making less money because now you don't get that commission. So one of my old coworkers was working at a different firm and, just brought me over, and it was a great move.
It was financial advisor at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He's the one that kind of told me about it, and I started applying and just went through the whole
Okay. What company was that?
First Command.
So First Command, and at that point, they get you going. Of course, you got to have particular licenses, certification to be a financial advisor, right? So they start getting you to get those taken care of?
So Chase actually put me through most of my licensing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I already had that in the bag. So it was just mostly of, hey, do I fit the culture?
Okay. When you get there, how does it feel? Is it a big change from what you're accustomed to? Of course, a little bit of a relief because you're having to do so much work for, overworking you kind of, being most likely salary and not getting compensated. Now you get to do something different.
It was a big culture shock. First of all, a lot of people don't hear about First Command there because they really don't advertise much unless you're in one of these military communities, Air Force Academy, West Point, or things like that. So 80% of their clients are military, and I would say over 70% of their employees are also military.
Oh, wow.
And at the point, I wasn't. So it was definitely different because even though I already had my licenses, Chase has said, hey, here's the book that you need to learn to pass the exams. Once you pass the exams, okay, forget that. We're going to teach you what you need to do. And a lot of it, you really weren't, what you learned during the testing period, you really didn't apply it with clients. So working at First Command, which they're a financial planning firm, first 3 months, I tell my wife that it was literally learning through fire hose, trying to drink water from a fire hydrant. It was just crazy. A couple of times I was like, what am I doing? Do I need to go back? Wow. So definitely tough.
Yeah. So, a lot of people don't realize a financial advisor is going to be tough in the beginning. It's just like everything else, right? But at the end, it has its challenges, right? So do you still have to have additional testing after that? Even though you have most of the certifications, you still have to do some testing?
Continued education. So continued education, now it used to be where, heck, every 2 years you need 24 hours of continued education. And that's pretty much across the board. Teachers, you need like 150 every 5 years to do, I'm sure, different nursing or medical field. You need continued education. And that's what you have to stay on top of.
Awesome. And during that time, does the military get introduced to you as far as becoming part of the service at all? Or when did that come about?
So I remember the first time I ever wanted to be in the military was probably about 7th, 8th grade when I saw my older sister, go into high school and they have the JROTC programs. Yeah. And she comes home one Wednesday, that's when they had to wear their uniforms, with an army, green coat and, her whole uniform. And I'm like, that looks pretty sharp. So that was the first idea. So of course, when I went into high school, joined their JROTC program. I was there all 4 years. And I kept telling my dad, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to fly for the Marines. And he was like, sure. Just kind of, brushing me off. And I remember one day there was a summer camp for JROTC at Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Yep, I know the place.
Yeah. And he's like, sure, go ahead. It was a 2-week camp. I'm surprised because, Latino parents don't usually let their kids go. But he was like, you know what? This is what's going to stop you and say, hey, you know what? This isn't what I want to do. So I go to Fort Sill and wake up 4 or 5 in the morning doing PT, doing all this. And I come back and I was like, I'm sure this is what I want to do.
Wow. So the word, the opposite effect.
Exactly. So senior year, I was actually the commander for the JRLTC. One of the sergeants there, very knowledgeable, was able to give me a scholarship with the Corps of Cadets at Texas A&M. But once again, when my dad thought that this was a serious thing, he was like, hey, how about you wait it out a little bit of time and we'll see, after a year, we'll see. Started working at Chase, starting, girlfriend, things like that. And I was like, okay. So it was just in the back of my mind up until I was talking to a first command client. And I think he was like a captain that used to be a recruiter. And he's like, well, have you ever thought about the reserves? You're 30 years old now. You have a 1-year-old or soon to be 1-year-old. Have you thought about the reserves? And I was like, no, I hadn't. And that's what kind of planted the seed to go into the reserves.
And when did you actually make the decision to go and fully join?
Yeah. I guess when I enlisted was December 21st, 2019. And this is after a couple of months of talking to my wife, of telling her this is what it means if you say yes, because I wasn't going to jump in if I didn't have her support, because at the time we did have a, soon to be 1-year-old. So that's going to leave a lot of, baggage on her side that she has to take care of now for more than a few months at a time if we get deployed, and especially going through basic and tech school.
Yeah. How was, so she supports you. She sees that you really want to do this. You go through basic. How was basic for you?
Oh, man. I think it's funny because I think my wife tells me that for a second she thought that, man, is he really going to leave me? Like, was this like an excuse to leave, to divorce me or something? Because the first couple of weeks, you really don't have any communication. You get one call saying, hey, I made it. All right, goodbye. And then people kept messing up in my flight. And all right, you're not going to get any letters home. You're not going to get any, to send any letters. And they're pissed, of course, that I need to reach out to my wife. So it was definitely a struggle. But once we got the hang of it, of getting letters on a regular basis, exchanging it back and forth, kind of smooth things out.
Yeah. How was basic for you? Was it tough at all? Somewhat challenging? Walk in the park now? You can laugh about it now.
I always tell people, and I think a lot of people describe it as the funnest thing you never want to do again.
Ever.
And I got very lucky because most of my flight was a lot of reserves and a lot of guardsmen that were reserve as well. Very few active duty. I think we had like 9 or 10 in my flight that were active out of like 30. So a lot of us were older. Had a 34-year-old police officer, a lot of 30-year-olds, and that's not very common, they would say. So it was a lot more chill. They would treat us a lot more like adults just because most of the flight was older.
That's cool. Okay. So first command, you're there for how long?
I was there right over 6 years.
6 years.
Yes.
After that, what makes you want to go ahead and begin? I know somewhere in there, you're still thinking about the mentor you talked about, being into financial advisor for the Latino community. But what makes you want to go ahead and jump into doing your own thing? Was it something that you just didn't like the way they were doing? It wasn't for you, or maybe you just had another calling for your community to do the things that you do now?
So and it goes back to my dad. When my dad immigrated, he went through a few, I guess, obstacles, right? Just like any person that immigrates that doesn't know the language and things like that. And he tells me stories about how he's going there in line trying to communicate with someone, and he can't, obviously, because he doesn't speak English. But then you have someone on the side that's kind of laughing at him, saying, oh, look at him, he can't speak English, kind of thing. So he always remembers that, and he's like, hey, whenever you grow up, you speak both languages, you better be the one that stands up and helps that person, right? I don't want you to be like these other people that don't want to speak Spanish, don't want to help out their comunidad. So that always stuck with me. And he also says that there were some people that definitely helped him out, and he still remembers them to this day. So that was always in the back of my mind. And First Command if you read different things about First Command, you might find some harsh things on Reddit, things like that. They did some things that they thought were best for the military community at that point in time that didn't work out the best. But the platform that they set up where, you can start investing with $50. Back then, and you needed thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to start investing. If not, advisors didn't really want to work with you because the more money they manage, the more money they get. And if you're going to bring $50 in, well, what am I really getting, right? So they set up a kind of the blueprint that I saw that, hey, maybe I can bring this into my community and it might work. it's going to take a couple of years, but if it works, it can help out the community where I was raised. So they kind of set the blueprint for that. And at one point, and I worked with some of the best managers at First Command, two of them, and one of them got a promotion, and she offered me heck, when you want to come over, I was at the home office, guaranteed salary plus commission. If you're an independent advisor for them, nothing's really guaranteed. There's no salary. So she offered me a really good compensation for the first year. And that's when I had to make the decision. Do I want to take somewhat, a promotion, or do I want to start from zero and take it my own way?
So you decided to make it your own way.
Yes. I'm a person that always somewhat takes risks. My wife is the opposite. She likes to be very secure, have a plan in place for pretty much everything. But
you had a plan though, right? Like in your mind, you had a plan that is.
Well, you have an idea of how
you already have the vision of what is it that you want. Even though in the beginning it doesn't seem like it, but in your mind, you already seen what it could be.
Yeah,
putting the work in.
So I have that vision, but I tell a lot of people that have that vision is how do you get there? The vision is probably the easiest part. The hard part is how do you get there? How do you get from A to Z? And there's going to be a lot of obstacles. Luckily, I tell people that today we have everything ever written. We have it at our disposal, and we just use it pretty much to scroll up social media, right? Yeah. Where we can be Googling different things on how to better ourselves and how to start something. So I knew that somebody else, I don't consider myself the smartest person in the world. I feel that there's people that are way smarter than me that have already created what my vision is or what I want to accomplish. I just have to go out there and find it and fine tune it to suit me. But before all that, I had to once again get the buy-in from my wife. Imagine, we're both. She has a really good job at Chase. That's where we met, and I'm a financial advisor making decent money as well. And now you want to tell your wife that you're going to start at zero.
How does even the approach come to be? What do you have to do before you get your mind right, prepared to have a conversation? Or do you have that relationship that like, hey, I got to talk to you, I got to tell you?
Yeah, no, she kind of already, I had hinted, and she kind of knew what, that the community and helping out, the Latinos is a big passion of mine. So she had an idea, and when I told her, it was once again, let's walk through it. How is this going to look? Because we are losing one income, and how is that going to look? How is that going to affect our finances, our retirement plan? Being that she actually has a degree in finance. So is this going to mean retiring 3 years later, 4 years later? What's it going to look like? So luckily, once again, she knew that it was a passion of mine, just like it was with the military. And my wife has always had my back when it comes to the ideas that I've had and the paths that I want to take. And I wouldn't be able to do this without her support first.
Awesome. Okay, so you decide to take the leap. You decide to go independent, go with your own. What is the first step you start doing that? First of all, let's talk about the name. I think you said something about ladder, escalera earlier. Yeah. I don't know if it has tied to this, but how do you come up with the name Blue Ladder?
So once again, my wife came up with that a long time ago. A while back when we were looking for a house, we had seen a house that we'd loved. Not the house, but the land. It was about 10 acres, 1,500 square foot home. But we're like, okay, this will hold us off for the next 10 years, and then we'll build. And we already have the land for it. Mm-hmm. And one day she's like, hey, I came up with our little rancho name. I came up with it. And I was like, what is it? She's like, Blue Ladder. And I was like, what? Why Blue Ladder?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you're from Los Azulitos, Jalisco, the little blues, Los Azules. Mm-hmm. And I'm from La Escalera. And it's going to be ours, so Blue Ladder. Yeah. And when I was looking for a name for my company, that's the first thing that came to mind was Blue Ladder. It goes back to where we're from and the community that we want to help.
Man, talk about deep. I was reading a little bit of the escaleras when you said like,
yeah, you caught on.
I think it's tied up to it. It's got to put them together. That's neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so you generate the logo and everything, and now you start shopping for what software you're going to be using to be able to do what you do for your independent business. So what is the process for you to trying to find which is the best software, which is the best way that you need to go for as far as doing your thing?
So that was difficult. And I actually thought that because I also do life insurance as well. And I thought the life insurance portion was going to be the easiest to be signed on as an independent agent with, any kind of firm or life insurance company. And I thought that the investment firms, because it's so highly regulated, that was going to be the tough part. And I figured that that's not the case. Whenever you register as an advisor, registered investment advisor, there's more than enough people reaching out to you for them to sell their investment products, but not the life insurance.
Yeah.
And especially me, because I wanted to go through a specific life insurance company that I have personally for me and my family. And they were also tied to the previous company that I worked for. So they really didn't want to go through me first, or offer me the ability to sell their products, because they don't want to kind of offend my other employer, because they have 600, 700 different advisors versus me.
Yeah.
They don't want to, of course, piss them off. So it took some time, but luckily, finally, everything was settled in. And now was the hardest part was because, once again, there are a lot of planning softwares out there. I already had some experience with it, but then who's your custodian? Who's the person that's going to be holding your client's fund and being able to, run the investments through them? I did a lot of research, and especially because I did things, if I could go back, I don't know if I would change things, but I definitely did it a different way than other advisors do. And you're in the banking industry as well. When a financial advisor leaves a company, more than likely they're going to take a very good portion of their book of business with them.
The hop, supposedly.
Yeah, exactly.
Learned a little bit about that.
So what do? I'm managing a decent book, and I don't want to have that reputation or anybody to tell me, hey, Omar Aguilar and Blue Ladder Financial Planning are doing great or doing good because he took a big portion of his business from First Command or from, whoever, even Chase. But those aren't really his clients, that just happened, to follow him or whatever, even though I cultivated a relationship.
Yeah,
I didn't want that. So I didn't take any client whatsoever, with the exception of my family members and one really good friend that I actually, got him introduced to that. And I think he would have killed me if I would have left him behind. But that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't manage millions of dollars like other advisors do. Which custodian is going to allow you to use their product when you manage almost no money? So that was the difficult part.
Yeah. Finally, you settled in with?
There was two, shareholder service group. But unfortunately, they did things old school way, wet signatures, put a stamp, mail it out to San Diego, and we'll get it done in a couple of weeks. So that was really tough. I knew that wasn't going to work because I tested that on my own first. And there was Altruist as well, who are the newest player, founded in 2018.
Oh, wow.
But they are founded by a previous financial advisor that just wanted to integrate technology into everything. And I tell people that it's almost too easy to use. Their system is so easy. So I think my daughter, if I give her an hour to do it, she could, work the process and at least walk through what I tell her to do. It's that simple. And then it just integrates technology with what I want to do, DocuSign, e-signatures, connecting banks with investment accounts. So it does things very easy.
And it does align with the things that you were doing, such as like right now you're not doing the millions yet. So it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars yet. So they're able to be able to still willing to work with you.
Exactly. Because they are starting off as well. So they kind of had a soft spot for people who are starting out. I'm not sure if that'll change in the future, but even a year and a half ago, they introduced that Altruist was buying SSG, which is the other company that I was looking, or the custodian that I was looking to go with. So now they've integrated together.
Awesome. Okay, so now how long you been with your company? Your with yourself. What year was established for you?
So this will be my second full year.
Finishing
off my second full year.
Okay. How do you, of course, you have your immediate family and a good friend, but how do you go about starting to build relationship with other people, potential people? Of course, what is the most challenges that you find within our community of Latinos, helping them out? We're trying to even understand what a financial advisor. If you was to tell me many years ago what a financial advisor, I don't think he would even want to talk to me, because maybe I don't have 100,000 or more to be able to be invested or put anywhere. He might not even want to bother with me because he's not going to make any money to me, you know?
Yeah, you're right. And that's it. I think the first part is the education portion, with my parents. And I always like to use my personal experience, my parents, myself, as an examples because we've gone through it. I remember my dad, my mom. We're gonna start an IRA. Y'all need to start an IRA, and they're like, "¿Qué es eso?
¿Qué es eso?"
Why do I need that?" And sometimes well, let me explain to you what it is. But if you've gone 50 years without knowing this, it's going to take some time for you to understand the process and things like that. But luckily, I've built it, they've known me my whole life, of course, but they trust me enough. They were like, okay, we're going to trust you with it. We have a couple of dollars that we can invest and we'll trust you with it.
Explain to everybody, simplify para mi gente latina, what is an IRA and what is it important to do or have or even to know about it?
Yeah, so individual retirement account, cuenta individual de retiro, that you can deposit money up to $7,000 this year, and of course every year it goes up, based on inflation. But it's just a retirement account that you can take out after the age of 59 and a half. And hopefully, you put your money in today and it just continues to grow with the stock market. And one day have a little fund in there for you to, retire comfortably the way you want to.
Why 7,000?
It used to be different. I remember when I first started, it used to be like 1,600 or something like that. But they just continue increasing it with inflation.
Inflation? Does it got anything to do with the IRS at all whatsoever as far as the taxes, how much they charge, or how much they allow you to put in there? Or not at all?
No. This just goes up. And if you're 50 years or older, there's a little $1,000 extra that you can contribute into that account called the catch-up.
Okay. And is it tax advantage, tax defer? What kind of tax are you expecting to pay at those 59 and a half?
So it all depends on my clients, right? For most of my clients, the Roth IRA is going to be the one that works out the best. Just because, and I like to explain, you have your traditional and you have your Roth. And ultimately, the IRS is asking you, when do you want to pay your taxes? Do you want to pay them today or do you want to pay them tomorrow? Because the IRS is the biggest gangster out there. They're going to want their cut of everything that you make. And I tell people that if you get this cup and you bought it for $5, but then you sell it at a yard sale for $10, the IRS expects you to pay taxes on that $5 profit. They don't care how you make money, whether it's working, selling items, or investing. They want their cut. So when do you want to pay your taxes? With the traditional IRA, you don't pay it today, but you're going to have to pay it tomorrow when you start withdrawing those funds.
Okay.
And the example that I give is you deposit $5,000 in a traditional IRA. 5-10 years from now, or 20 years from now when you're ready to retire, those funds, those 5,000 grows from 5 to 10 to 15. Well, you deposited 5, now it's 15. The IRS doesn't want taxes on the 5. They want taxes on the 15,000. Okay? With the Roth IRA, it's the opposite. You go ahead and you put 5,000, pay the taxes now. By the time you retire, it grows to 15. That 15,000, 100% yours.
Nice.
Sometimes it makes sense to do traditional if you're a high earner. Other times, Roth IRA.
Okay. So now with the education, where are you finding your clientele? Where is it word of mouth? Are you still testing your warm market? Is there you're going out in events and kind of sort of telling the people that you're doing this and that you're not the person that expects 100,000? Yeah, you're welcome to 100,000, but if you don't have that, I can help you out still.
The first one that I did was at actually the church that I got married at, St. Rita Catholic Church in East Fort Worth. And I think I kind of, once again, lucked out where the day that I was having my presentation, they also had a group that, meets there at the church. Somehow it didn't happen, but there were still some people that showed up and they were like, well, we got an hour and a half set aside, might as well come in and see what you have to talk about. So that was the first one. But it's very hard for people to come in and let you talk about investments, things like that, because they think that, well, is he really in it for the community or is it in it for himself? So trust. That's, I think with Latinos, the trust part is the hardest thing to push through, right? Because if you're offering something that nobody has ever offered them and you're a one-man show, from a company they've never heard about, well, then guards goes up, right?
Yeah.
So that was the thing, just offering different free financial literacy classes around the community centers, things like that.
Yeah. So far, that's the best thing that you found so far, to try to kind of sort of bring those guards down and kind of sort of let them welcome you in, to kind of sort of let them know how is it that their money, because money in the bank, it's not going to grow anywhere. Yes, you can have a high yield earning, but to be honest, compared to everything else, it's just not going to make enough money.
Right.
So that's what a lot of people mean, what put your money to work means, It's not letting it sit there, having us bankers, have the bank, because you need it, right? It's just part of the whole system. There's nothing against it. But it's all needed, right? You need to have funds to be able to lend people money. And same thing that in order for your money to grow, if you letting it sit there, it's just not going to do anything for you, right? So you got to kind of sort of put it to work in some ways or other. So finally, with the education, you kind of sort of found that that's the way they kind of sort of bring their guard down a little bit, to let you in and kind of sort of have a conversation.
Yeah, and it's the majority of my clients. My goal is one a month, and I'm not going after your multimillionaire client. So it's definitely, I'm not swimming like Scrooge McDuck in a pot full of gold, things like that. But I think the biggest thing is the education portion, and then now referrals. Once they see that, hey, this guy's not in it for himself, and he's been here now 2 years and he's still preaching the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what he has to offer, kind of thing. And once again, I don't have a huge book of business. I have about 36 clients. So it's not enough to keep me busy Monday through Friday with the things that I have going on. So the reserves, of course, that bring in some money. But then I also wanted to find a job that works with me, and it's, I guess, flexible. And I do substituting. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because one day I was eating my lunch, and I find a gentleman across from me that he was working on his computer. And I just say, hey, how's it going? And he just does that little nod. I was like, okay, he doesn't want to be bothered, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And after a couple of times like that, we've met each other there, but we really don't interact at all. Some other, Mexicano comes in and he's like, ¿Qué ole, cómo está? I was like, oh, bien, ¿y usted? And the guy in front of me is like, you speak Spanish? ¿Hablas español? And I was like, yeah. He's like, this whole time here, I don't want to talk to you because I think you don't speak Spanish. And I was like, and I'm not saying a word because I think you're busy with your computer and I don't want to bother you. But that actually, we've interacted a couple times, and he has spoken to me about what I do to some other people and things like that. And man, I've had about, 7 to 10 different interactions with different individuals because of that one person, and just having a sit down and just having a regular conversation.
Okay, when you start explaining and talking about finance and talking about what you can do with their money to help them out, is there like literally totally not even knowledgeable whatsoever, not even a little bit, or do they maybe have an idea of people that says some things, but you're kind of sort of clarifying what it really means to do that?
So I think I would say about 95% of my clients have never had an investment account outside of their 401k. Some of them don't work for companies that don't even offer a 401k, so that's where the IRA needs to step in. But some of them are knowledgeable. They know that it's out there. I have a couple clients young ladies that they're professional workers, really good at what they do. Some of them have their masters and they're excellent at their job, and they know that they need to be investment. They know that a 401k matching and an IRA exists. But that's about it, right? So they know the basics of it. So then that's when they reach out to me and say, hey, Omar, I know this is your strength. Can you help us out with it? Mm-hmm. So some of them have to start from 0. Others, I get to start from 5 or 7.
Yeah. Okay. So with the first conversation that you have with anybody, once their guard's down, once they see you facing up and they kind of trust you, how does the conversation start about with anybody, especially a Latino that like is that 90 something that doesn't have anything? How does the first conversation go with you?
The first thing is, it depends who I'm talking to, right? I've had clients that they're in their 60s and they've never invested before, and they're like, I don't qualify for Social Security. I haven't worked enough. I do this and I do that. What can I do to maybe in 10 years when I'm 72 do something, you know? So it's just figuring out, hey, what are your goals? You know, first of all, you know, what's your budget look like? What's your emergency savings look like? And what's your goals? What is it that you're trying to achieve, and when are you trying to achieve this? Because I've had clients that they say,